folks. Welcome to the Krueg Show. I'm Larry Krueger. He's Ryan Smith. That's Dan Coccimiglio. Cyrus Saatsaz will join us shortly. We might even visit with Kylan Mills. Warriors win Game 5 of the NBA Finals, and they win by 10 over the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics are down to their final game. Golden State is up 3-2, 104-94. An off night for Steph Curry. For the first time in 233 games, Steph did not make a three. But it didn't matter. Steph was 0 for 9 from 3. He had 16 points, 7 to 22, because Andrew Wiggins saved the day. Wiggins was awesome. They call him two-way Wiggs, and he demonstrated dominance on both ends of the floor tonight. 26 points, 13 rebounds, 29 rebounds the last 2 games for Wiggs, 2 assists, and not a single turnover, and some of the best highlights you're going to see. And guys, we get it rolling. People already in the chat, all kinds of people want to talk about this thing. Our post-game show from the other night, from Game 4, blew up. I would imagine this will as well. People piling into the room as we speak to celebrate the Warriors, who are 1 win away from an NBA title. And tonight, guys, they did it despite a poor shooting night from Steph Curry. And Wiggins stepped up, and Poole stepped up, and Green stepped up, and Clay stepped up, and Golden State's 1 win from a title. All right, I'm going to take a breath and take a sip of water. Give me your guys' thoughts. Danny's running. Danny's watching the Giants game is what Danny's doing. So that's what Danny's doing.
Yeah, 2-run double by Crawford.
Hi, babe Craw.
There you go. Giants up 5-2 on the Royals. We got that going on as well at Oracle Park down the street. So look at all the empty seats, by the way, at Oracle Park tonight, because everybody's watching the Warrior game. But now we can watch the Giants in celebration, and we can talk about both. But guys, Danny's got the Warrior shirt, the Warrior hat, the giant mug. Rise looking festive with his usual Warrior jersey. Rye, why don't we start with you? I mean, this was an incredible win for Golden State. Warriors led 27-16, up 11 points at the end of the first. It really should have been like a 15-point lead. That's how bad Boston was playing. But, man, Boston hit 8 of 8 from beyond the arc in that third quarter and pulled right back into it and actually took the lead. And then we see Golden State. They didn't win it once, Rye. They won it twice.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, one of the things that's so fun about this series, especially as it gets closer to the end and we're going to get a little bit of tighter margins, less points scored, is both these teams are just knockout punchers, man. Like, they're just boxers trying to throw knockouts. And they don't care, if they get a little behind or whatever, because they know they're going to have their chance. They're going to have their big right hook. But what's really kind of cool to watch is just, I mean, honestly, both teams are getting clocked in the face, and whereas most teams, even in the playoffs, would just roll over, the other team's coming back. And I think that actually kind of threw the Warriors off a little bit. Like, at the beginning of the series, it was like, why aren't you dead? We killed you. We third quarter warriored you. Why are you dead? And then the Celtics will go crazy. And man, I mean, how many games were within this one game? It was like, the beginning Warriors going crazy. And then at one point, the Celtics were 0 of 12 from 3, I think.
They missed their first 12 and then made 8 in a row. How about that?
And then they made 8 in a row. And then while they were making 8 in a row, Golden State missed 12 in a row. And
14, I think.
Yeah, it was 14.
14 in a row. 14. Golden State missed from beyond the arc.
19 to 4 to start the third quarter. It's just in this series, it's just everywhere. I think these are two great teams, but at the end of the day, is kind of, I mean, it's sort of what we were talking about at the beginning of this series. Like, look, Boston's got a lot of firepower. They're a really good team, but we got the experience. And I thought that, for the first time, we kind of saw Tatum kind of lose his composure down the end. I thought that was interesting. And my God, we just got to start with Andrew Wiggins, man.
How great was Wiggs?
Oh my goodness!
Think about the way the season started. When I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if we're going to do the championship DVD, I don't know if you guys remember, but a giant storyline at the beginning of the season was that Andrew Wiggins wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
He wasn't going to get vaccinated. And it was like, oh no, like, oh, are we going to have a weird Kyrie thing? And you know what? The guys got him to buy in. And now he is currently the second best player on a team that is one win away from the finals. There's not that many guys that can call themselves the second best player on a championship team. I mean,
yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, it's pretty amazing. I mean, they win this thing. I think Steph's got the MVP based on everything he's done in the first four games.
Dan, can I just preface something real quick, just so that we don't get into any of this, like, because I know that's probably going to be like a lot of things in the chat, and then tomorrow the cycle of the after Steph Curry, we build him up. It's the best game. What is that? The best, one of the 4 best games ever. Now we're going to tear him down.
I'm not tearing him down at all. No.
I'm just saying, for everybody in the chat that's like worried. The thing is I've listened to a lot of people talk about this, and now, as we've evolved, like, obviously, there's still the Skip Baylesses and the Nick Wrights, but as we all have gotten smarter in basketball, we're realizing, like, obviously, no matter what Steph does on the floor, like, he is the most valuable player. And
absolutely,
everybody just needs to realize that this Boston team is unreal defense. And they are the first team since 2019 when we played the Blazers, when Curry averaged 36 and they swept them in the conference finals, to play Curry straight up and play drop coverage. Tonight they said, okay, we can't let Curry do his Curry thing that he's been doing us for 4 straight games, because once he makes a 3, freaking Chase erupts, and it's just going to be too much on the road. So what they did is, all of a sudden they started keeping one with him. They were blitzing him, doing all of this stuff. And then it's like, oh, magically, Andrew Wiggins has the best game of his career, and Draymond scoring.
Yeah, it's because of Steph. It's all because of Steph sets it up. Yeah. Here's what I think. This was the best possible outcome for the Warriors, to win convincingly in the fourth quarter, and Steph going 0 for 9 from 3. He is most likely going to be playing so free with Game 6 that he could go off. And don't forget, we got Game 6 Clay, who's getting his stroke back since Game 3, 4, and 5 now. So I think that the Warriors are looking in a really good position. I love the way they came out tonight, forcing Brown, Tatum, forcing Smart, all of their players to drive to the left. And then when they got by him, there was another man right there switching, and they were having to kick it out. And Boston was missing all these contested threes because they were playing so well. And let's give a shout out to Draymond, who I thought played his best game. I mean, Game 2 was a good game.
He won the jump versus Rob Williams. Yeah. That's when I knew it was going to be a good Draymond game.
Draymond was fired up. He played great defense. He facilitated well on offense. His head was in the game. He was focused. Granted, he fouled out. I thought some of those calls were weak, but you know what? He fouled out toward the end of the game, where I felt like they had it wrapped up. So I think going forward, the Warriors go in for the jugular on Game 6, and they play free, and maybe, just maybe, they play their best game, because really tonight they haven't played their best game yet. It
was a great team game. You're right. I mean, it wasn't their best game. I mean, but it was a great team win. It was a great resurgence of Draymond Green, who I thought his negative play has been overhyped. I really do. Because, I mean, go back and look. I went back and watched Game 4 again, and he made like 7 key plays in the first half, and he played great in the final 3 minutes. What's happened, I think, though, is he's missed some blockouts, and his offensive game is so out of rhythm. We know he's out of rhythm from that he's no longer a 3-point shooter, but his offensive game completely is out of rhythm in any kind of face-up shooting. He needs to drive to the lane and look to pass, and if they want to play off him, drive all the way in and look to finish. But no more threes. The shot's too flat. The legs aren't there. Whatever you want to say, it ain't there for him. And no more threes, even if it cycles around. Put it on the deck, go in, make something happen. When the ball's put on the deck, he's got 3 three things he can do with it on the way to the hole. He can pass it, he can potentially float it up there, and he's a guy that is really good at setting other people up with body movement and shielding different people. He's a great playmaker. So go to the rim and don't settle for the outside shot. But I thought, how about the Jordan Poole guys? How about Jordan Poole off glass with 0.1, not 1 second. 0.1 on the clock, and he gets it off and he puts it off glass. I mean, I thought he gave them a huge lift. I thought GP2, I didn't look at GP2's numbers, but GP2 gave this team a huge lift tonight.
Oh, yeah. Defensively, he was
26 minutes. Wow. 26 minutes.
Yeah. I knew he would get 20
15 and 5
tonight.
And 3 steals.
It's just when he's out there, things happen. There's just a different feel and a trust that you're not going to get beat on the perimeter with Payton in the game. And if he does get beat, they were able to recover quickly. Other guys step in. I thought they played probably their best defensive game of the series tonight because they were making Boston shoot over the top. And then when they did get into the lane, they were switching and guys were not being left open. Like Williams wasn't getting left open for easy dunks or layups tonight like he was in previous games. And the other thing that I really thought about Poole, he played a really composed game, I thought. He took the one heat check with 30 seconds.
Oh my God. I mean, Steve Kerr, Klay Thompson had the ridiculous heat check shot in the first quarter, and Poole had the most ridiculous heat check shot. I mean, I felt like I was watching Vegas Summer League or something, and he just hit 5 in a row.
Right. But he did learn from that. You notice he was going to do it again, and he kind of pulled up. He had a shot to take a 3, and he said, no, it's too soon. He moved the ball around, and I can't remember exactly how it ended, but I think they scored on the possession because he didn't, hoist some 3 when they really needed to just get a bucket as they were. So Jordan Poole played pretty good, couple defensive lapses, but not too bad.
Yeah, he had in the span of when he hit that 3, I think he gave up some rough defensive things on the other end to the point where it kind of negated his offense. But I thought it was just important that in my mind, I was thinking, I really don't care even if we lose out on this. I just want him to be confident in his shot because we might need it later, especially if they're going to give all that attention to Curry.
Let me ask you guys this. Did the Warriors win this one or did Boston gack it away? Now, the reason I say that is my buddy's a big Boston fan, and I got the text after the game. He's like, man, Boston's absolutely gagging. And I'm like, well, I think Golden State's actually playing pretty damn well, even though Curry had an off night. And he's pointing to the fact that the trio of Tatum and Brown and Smart, basically their stars, combined for 13 of their 18 turnovers, and that Tatum is a very good player but not a superstar, and that Brown is a very good player but not a superstar, and that Marcus Smart is a nice defensive player but nothing more than that, and that that Williams is young and Horford's a little old, and the Celtics have been overblown. Now this is a guy who's a Celtics fan who's just irate. They did go 51-31, including 23-18 on the road, and here they are in the NBA Finals. But what do you think? I mean, I argued that Wiggins took this thing. That every time that there was a major moment in the game, that Wiggins either took it over on the glass, off the dribble. 26 and 13 for Wiggins, and he played 43 minutes. The guy just went and went and went. And then Golden State
bunny out there.
And Golden State had 6 turnovers total. So I think Golden State's taking care of the basketball, and they're a pretty underrated defensive team. That would be my argument. This guy said, nah, they're not that great. The Celtics choked it. What's your guys' read?
Okay, I just got to say this because I know that it's really frustrating, all the Boston fans, and I'm not, making it into. I'm just saying in general. I don't know if your buddies like this, but they what they like to do is they have 2 modes. One mode is
we won,
crazy, overconfident. Oh, we're gonna beat Celtics in 5, Celtics in 4. This is we're the best team by far. Tom Brady. Oh, you can't stop us. Oh, all we do is win titles. And then when things start going bad, a lot of times they like to play the, oh man, they play the they're still this cursed city that doesn't win championships kind of thing where it's like, oh man, like we're just blown. But it's like, no, because you could say the same thing I heard so many people, that was like a way of discrediting the Warriors for game 4. It was like, man, it was like, that was a big debate. Did the Celtics give this away or did Curry just take the game? Curry just took the game. And then today, I mean,
think so too.
Curry, I mean, how can you say that they didn't, that they gacked it away when they held Curry to 15 points? They perfectly executed exactly what Udoka wanted. He said, let's see.
Well, they were arguing missed free throws too. I mean, like Boston Rye went, they went 20, they missed 10 free throws. So they missed 10 free throws and they had 18 turnovers. And this guy was saying, hey, look, they're not ready for prime time. And everybody's saying Tatum's a superstar. Tatum ain't a superstar. Everybody's saying Brown's a star. Brown ain't a star.
What was he saying before the series or even after game 1?
Oh, he was saying they were going to win. He was saying they were going to win. He said they're bigger, faster, younger, more talented, deeper, better, everything. Here we are, one game 6, and they're on the doorstep to saying goodnight for the season.
This is the first time they've lost 2 games in a row since January, not including sitting players. Like,
that's pretty incredible right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, mute him. I said that earlier in the week, and I got muted for that.
Oh, wait a second. Danny, you get muted for telling Rye to be muted. Yeah, you can't. Only I actually have the power to mute. When you're in one of the other boxes and you suggest mute, you do get the mute, but it's unfortunately 30 more seconds for mute for Danny. Carlo P donates $2. First donation of the night. Wiggins Monster Slam, which is Danny. So since it is Danny, we're using him. We'll unmute him based on that. And a monster layup too. Man, I don't know what you guys. I want to hear if Dan had play-by-play. But I'm watching the game tonight with my oldest son and my youngest son, and when Wiggins jammed that over, who was it? Over Derek White and it went off his freaking head. It went through the rim, through the net, and off White's freaking head, and we just erupted. I mean, it was just like, whoa! It was just an awesome moment.
Because when he had that first step on White, I go, he's going for it. He's going for it.
You knew he was.
And he had that other one where he drove. And he looked like he was going to go in, and then he kind of came back up under and scooped it in over, I don't remember, but he was so aggressive tonight. He wasn't afraid of Williams down there or anybody. He was just going to drive and use his athleticism to go up and over or under, whatever he had to do. This is a guy that is, I remember – I think my brother said at the beginning of this series, he was going to be the X factor in this series. And it's proven out to be the point because Wiggins is a guy that has all the tools but he's playing relaxed because he's not the expected go-to guy.
He's an easygoing personality, and now guess what? There's money on the table, and now he's gone from this easy personality to like a shark, in water filled with blood. And he's never had a title. He's been called an underachiever most of his career. He's made a boatload of cash. He's got more cash than he'll ever know what to do with. What he doesn't have is respect and a ring, and he's one big performance away from having both in a huge way. And I'm happy for the guy because I think deep down, if you watch the Warriors every night, you get a feel for their personalities. And this kid's a great kid. And I say kid, he's 27. But I mean, he's a great guy that's really fit in well. And think about Myers, by the way, for D'Angelo, Ball Hog, Russell, who the T-Wolves are dying to trade as fast as they possibly can. And when a guy like that is nets you Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins. I mean, that is one of the great trades in Warrior history right now.
Oh, yeah. And I also want to give a shout out to Clay. He's been, I think, getting kind of picked on in the sense that, everybody's been obviously pointing out that he's lost the step here and there. I thought the guy played great defense tonight. He was 7 of 14, 5 of 11 from 3, scored 21 points. And, his defense, even that breakaway where he went down and just didn't let him score and almost blocked the shot that Was that on Williams, I think, too? Maybe who was it that he went right up with
lost.
But he Boston had a breakaway, and the guy was going in for a jam, and Clay came up from behind and almost got all ball, but was called for the foul.
I thought, it's funny. I thought he had, I think it was Robert Williams. I think he had 90% ball there.
Yeah, it looked like it. It did.
I mean, that was a dubious one. I thought the refs were bad. I mean, once again, the Kevon Looney drew 3 fouls. All of them were bogus to start the game. I mean, the Warriors had to go, guys. I mean, we haven't hit on this yet, but the Warriors had to go to a pretty exotic lineup into some really small lineups because Looney had 3 fouls on him early. And guys, I felt like, maybe one of them was legit. I thought there were 3 pretty dubious calls, to be honest.
Well, you know what, Looney said, he sets a lot of hard picks. And like we saw last game with Jaylen Brown, it wasn't a foul, but he's a kind of an easy guy to give fouls to. And from my perspective, I thought that the Warriors got because I'm always monitoring that because I'm like, okay, how bad are the excuses going to be? Is there going to be a lot of ref excuses? I'm not quite sure. I thought the Warriors got a very good whistle tonight.
Well, if you look at the fouls, though, they had 28 fouls against him, and Boston only had 16.
Seriously, that there you go. I saw that in the box score as well. 28-16 fouls on Golden State. Really? 28-16
for the home team.
To me, I'll tell you what really drives me crazy is that whatever team seems like has got the advantage at the break, the other team gets the calls in the third quarter, and it's like routine. It's like, oh, wait a second, you're out of the game. Well, hey, here's a couple calls. Now you make a couple threes. Hey, you're in it. You're within 5. You're within 3. I felt like the refs really fueled. I thought Boston played like S most of the night. I thought the refs kind of early in the third quarter kind of fueled their momentum shift, and then they hit a few shots and got into a nice little rhythm, and then rained down 8 in a row. Seriously, including Smart, who's not much of a shooter. He knocked one down. So
yeah, he knocked a couple down.
Overall,
am I really off base because I'm going to come on Ryan? I thought the beginning of the third quarter, I was definitely like, oh man, they're doing that ref thing again where you can't quite tell, just because we're up. But I don't know. If you're a Boston fan, you know what you're talking about. You're talking about Jordan Poole getting away with like a kind of a BS thing. You're talking about Marcus Smart getting a technical for not that much, and then Draymond, following Tatum to the bench and getting nothing. You're getting like there's Tatum, drove to the lane a lot. Granted, he's looking for fouls. Didn't get. I think
he's smart though, man. He's locking everybody up with his arms, and he just constantly.
He's really good at
it. Yeah, he gets away with it.
He's the defensive player of the year in the league. This guy's a hell of a player. I thought he obviously said something incredible to the official because, when the Celtics didn't get a call, he felt like it wasn't going both ways, and he let the official have it, and he got teed up quickly for that one. But, all I've got to say about this one, and by the way, Tom Pierce says, hit the like button when you arrive. Let YouTube know who the Krueg crew really is as we get things rolling, and hundreds of people in the chat right now.
Another point about Curry being the MVP because he didn't score well, but an MVP is the most valuable player. Boston had to completely change their game plan from the first 4 games, as Ryan mentioned, and went after him, which freed up Wiggins tonight, freed up Clay even. The fact that Boston was blitzing Curry, was doing everything they could, hounding him wherever. They were in his face as soon as he came off the bench after a timeout. They were like, boom, they're in his face.
In a lot of ways, I think. Sorry, I was just going to say, in a lot of ways, this might be really a demoralizing loss for Boston from the standpoint of, on the chalkboard, Udoka's saying, we stop Curry, we beat the Warriors. They stopped Curry, they lost by 10. So now what's he saying on the flight back to the East Coast?
Oh, they're shook.
Yeah, no, I just think
shook. I like that. They're shook.
I think he's the most valuable player. It's because
there's no doubt. There's no doubt whether he gets the award or not.
Yeah, he'll get the award unless he throws it The only way he doesn't get the award is if Wiggins goes for 40 and Curry lays another egg in game 6 and the Warriors win it. That's the only way. But I mean,
even then it might be dicey.
Then he'd get like the Martin Scorsese for the
lifetime achievement,
the lifetime achievement finals MVP.
But somebody said in the chat, I was trying to find it earlier, but going through it, there's so many comments I can't find it. But somebody made the comment in the chat that the trade for Wiggins and Kuminga was like our payback for
Parrish and McHale.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're still owed a few more from that. To be completely honest,
need a few more.
Parrish and McHale for JB and Ricky Brown. SLLL says Game 6 Clay loading. ... Now that is Klay Thompson's going to fire. I want to see.
I'm a little bit afraid of it.
You're afraid that he's gonna hoist. Afraid. He's gonna hoist uncontrollably. That's what you're afraid of. Bad shot selection, Clay, is what you're afraid of, huh, Ryan?
Yes, because the thing is I'm fine I'm fine with Clay going for trying to get his Game 6 Clay thing going, because he will at some point. But like I even saw today, like I thought he played in a good game and played good defense, and like he made really huge shots. But there was a couple plays there where he starts dribbling and he has no idea where anybody is on the court. Like at one point, Curry was wide open for a 3 in the corner, and it was like, Clay, dude, like you have 2 guys on you, just pass it to him. So I or even Jordan Poole when he made that first 3 and like kind of had it going, and then first 2 threes, Poole had it going. It was like, oh, get back to Poole, and then Clay just kind of like iced him out. And dribble. So I just don't want Clay doing that.
Yeah, Clay. I'm not letting that guy outshine me, man.
Exactly.
XL suffering bastard. Is there a greater handle than that? XL suffering bastard says, Larry, you're almost at 5,000 subscribers. All right, we got a lot of people in the room. We've been doing this for about 2 months. If you're in the room right now. Button. Hit subscribe. It helps the channel. And right now, I'd say we need help, but more than anything, we got a lot of momentum. We just want to keep it rolling. This one's pretty good. Road to Red says Wiggins went beast mode. I'll tell you one thing. Earlier this year, now I'm not sure which game it was. It was early in the season. You guys remember it. Wiggins went off, and Green was like, I want you to go off the rest of the year. And they were trying.
The Wolves game, maybe.
Was it the T-Wolves game?
Yeah.
He went off, and it was like everybody saw something. Even the players saw a mode that Wiggins got to that he rarely gets to. And I think I don't want to say that he doesn't go hard. He goes hard. He goes really hard on both ends of the floor. He's a finely tuned athlete. I just think he's a laid back dude. I think and I think he is one of those guys that everybody likes because you know what? He's not a gunner. He's not a shameless gunner. He's not a self-promoter. He'll give it up and get other people involved. But you know what? You look around the floor and you say, maybe you're looking at a situation where he's out there with Green, defensive player, GP2, defensive player, Otto Porter, not 100%, Jordan Poole, kind of a younger player. And that he is an all-star starter for the West this year in the prime years of his career. He needs to be a little bit more aggressive and be like, damn it, I'm taking this thing over. And he's got the ability to beat guys off the dribble. And he's not 6'4". He's 6'8", so he can finish inside because he's got great length. And to me, it's always just been about his willingness to dominate. He doesn't seem like he wants to dominate. And in this game, I think he looked around a couple times and you know what? The money's on the table. And he's like, I'm doing what I got to do to get mine and get us over the top. And I love seeing that edge from him. It's the best I've ever seen him look. And if he can just carry this into one more game, I think they're going to celebrate on that parquet Thursday night. I really do.
I hope so. And, he has, like you said, Larry, that ability. But what makes him really, really dangerous with this Warriors team is that he can drive and kick it out to Clay or Poole or Curry, and he doesn't have to finish. I remember one game when he was with Minnesota. I don't know if it was 18, 17. It was one of the Warriors championship years. Have to look it up, but he scored 40 plus in Oracle against the Warriors. And I think they even won that game maybe at Minnesota, but it was all Wiggins. It was unbelievable. didn't he get like 45 or something like that? Or?
Yeah, it was absurd.
He's a major talent, guys. I mean, we know going all the way back to high school, this guy was a superstar written all over him. He was going to be, this incredible kid, incredible NBA star, and it kind of just didn't work out for him. It was like too much too soon. He gets involved in the trade here, and he's fit in incredibly well. And I think it's all the questions about does he come back? I mean, those are out the door. You're bringing him back for sure. Maybe somebody else is leaving, but I think Wiggins is probably going to stick around.
I have a feeling that if they win this thing, that Lacob's just going to.
He's just going to write the check.
Yeah.
Would you rather win it? Would you rather win it Thursday night in Boston? What's sweeter, Thursday night in Boston, or do what they, clinch it on the home floor?
No, win it in Boston in front of those obnoxious fans. I'll tell you.
Have they ever clinched on the home floor?
Yeah, their first championship.
Yeah, in
Cleveland,
home floor? 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate Boston so much. I was getting in the shower before the game, and I started to get in and soap up, and I saw Irish Spring, and I says, I can't use that soap, green and white. So I had to get out. And
clean as a whistle, Danny. Clean as a whistle.
Grab another bar of different color because I says I'm not using green and white right before the game.
Look at Danny. He went. He said no. Irish Spring. Take this. Give me a Dove bar.
What about a little Draymond green?
A little Safeguard.
No, it was too. It reminded me too much of the Celtic pride and all that stuff. The leprechauns. I says nope, not doing it.
Yeah, no, game 7 would tonight even one would think I would be like going crazy right now with excitement based on my reaction last time. But I mean, tonight took a lot out of me. It was like tonight already was like emotionally was like.
Are you going to be able to run it back Thursday? I mean, is that Jersey going to be able to run it back Thursday?
Oh,
I'm concerned.
Yeah. She's durable.
Can we get a monster slam? I know it's not the Wiggins monster slam.
Oh,
I know it's not the Wiggins monster slam, but just in honor of Wiggins monster slam, let's hear it.
Oh, wait, sorry about that. I botched
Let's get it one more time.
Oh, so wait, what?
Do we have it? Dan Coccimiglio live play-by-play. This is going to, you think Marv Albert was good. I mean, come on. Right?
Man.
Anyone? Bueller? No? All right, we'll see. We'll see if we can dig that up. Jackson J says GP2 Poole and Poole 26 and 14 minutes, 15 and 14 points, 5 rebounds. Good effort from the bench. I will say this: Golden State was plus 21 on the bench. We talked about who's the deeper team at the beginning of the series, and I think you can make a compelling argument that it was Golden State. That was the argument that I made, and they're 31 points from their bench tonight, 10 for Boston. So Derek White didn't look comfortable for the first time in the entire series from beyond the arc. That was comforting to see. But man, Boston, if you really go into this game and did the autopsy of this game, Boston played like shit. Let's be honest. They played like shit, but they got incredibly hot in that third quarter, hit 8 threes in a row, and suddenly it looked like, wow, they're going to steal this game. But then they played like crap down the stretch. And Golden State got an incredible performance out of Wiggins and enough from Poole and Clay and Green bounced back, and it was a good enough at GP2. GP2 is
15 points tonight.
Yeah, GP2. My goodness.
I love seeing him out there.
That guy's Superman. If I got knocked out and I had a fractured elbow, you wouldn't see me again until opening night from next year. This guy's back out there a couple weeks later, and he's doing push-ups on this fractured elbow. D'ing guys up, finishing inside, making smart play after smart play. GP2.
How about that one out of bounds play? How about that one out of bounds play where he cut back door,
it's beautiful,
down the baseline, got it reversed? That was beautiful. If I was
how about the beginning of the game, Danny, where they said that GP2 played for 4 NBA teams and 5 G League teams, and the Warriors waived him twice. Yeah. And if you're sitting there and you're a personnel guy and you're sitting on the couch watching the NBA Finals and you hear that and you're like, How did we not grab this guy? Look at this guy. Look at this guy, what he does to other players on the defensive end. Look what he does as far as the understanding of the offensive end.
Hey, and give it up for Myers, Bob Farhan Myers, with the going with Payton over Avery Bradley. Yeah, that was a huge move because the veterans were wanting Bradley because Bradley was in camp and Payton was in camp. They released both of them at the end, and the Warriors vets were like, hey, bring in Bradley. We need this. And the Warriors elected to bring back Payton, which is incredible. So if I was looking at doing the hockey, how they pick the stars of the game from third to first, I'm going to pick.
Oh, I like that.
I'm going to go with number 3, the number 3 star tonight. I'm going to go with Klay Thompson. Number 2, I'm going to pick GP2, and number 1, Andrew Wiggins. I thought Payton was that good. His presence, 26 minutes. He had 5 rebounds and 15 points, and he also had what else did he do? But I don't know. He did. My box score doesn't show steals. I know he had to have
3 steals. He had 3 steals.
Yeah, Payton was monster, man. If you go look at his across the board numbers, 15 points, 5 rebounds right there. But the guy what he is just a really smart player and a really aggressive defensive player. And he also is really good on the glass. He can finish he can finish inside in the trees. He's not. How about that one where he finished on the beautiful, threading the needle bounce pass from Draymond Green?
That was unreal.
To Payton. And then not that Payton got that pass with a defender on his tail in the lane, in traffic, and he somehow rose up. He caught it cleanly and then rose up and laid it in softly off the glass. That was one of those plays that you watch it in full speed and you're like, wait a second, that was one of the more difficult plays of the night. And he made it look pretty easy. Really did.
No, GP2 is like the Time Lord of our defense. Honestly, of our team, like Robert Williams, the way they didn't know how to use him. They didn't know how to use him until Udoka. And then Udoka just starts him. The big knock on him was that he wasn't tough enough, which has nothing to do with GP. But like just the way that guy does stuff that you've never seen before, where it's like, what the heck? How are you this like cat-like reflexes and this fast? And then you literally block. Like I've never seen Steph Curry shot be that altered.
Well, I just hope when we get back to Boston, game 2, GP2 played 25. Tonight he played 26, but games 3 and 4, he was like vanished. He was like they forgot about him or something. He only played like 10 minutes one game. He's got to play 20 plus minutes because this just reminds me of them going back to Boston up 3-2. It reminds me a little bit of the 75 Warriors when they went back to Washington. They had the momentum and they closed it out on their floor. And if GP2 plays 22 to 25 minutes going next, Thursday night? It's going to be Thursday night. Yeah. So
yeah, Thursday night.
And if Klay has his game and Steph is going to, I'm telling you, Steph's going to hit 30 plus.
That's going to be great.
That's the beauty of this is that they got the win, and Steph is now going into the next game hungry.
Yeah.
And if you're Boston, he's going to rain down a bunch of shots. I'd rather finish it in Boston. I'd rather dance on their parquet and spit on their leprechaun and flip their fans the bird and just say, you know what, not your time. Not your time. By the way,
what I want to say is like, hey, you know how like you were a dick for the past like decade?
Exactly.
Or for the past couple decades about the Patriots and just like all these crazy and how is Tom Brady still doing it? Like you just got Patriots basically. Like you've now run into the basketball version of the Patriots.
It'd be awesome if somehow it came out in the next 24 hours that Tom Brady's actually rooting hard for the Warriors.
Oh,
hard.
I know. I was wondering that.
I was wondering that too. Is Tom Brady going for the Celtics, or is I would love it if somebody can produce Tom Brady in a Warriors hat at like a Warrior party celebrating. That would turn WEEI on its freaking ear. Oh my God, there'd be people 19 deep. Tommy, what?
Yeah.
What? This is a good one. Low That Truth 05. When Wiggs goes to the basket, he's much more deadly than when he camps on the perimeter. I threw that in and jacks up threes. Go to the 10. Go to the rim. Seriously. Yeah. Andrew Wiggins he can shoot the three, but he's like the fourth best marksman on this team. Put it on the deck and attack the rim. To me, he had, all the little runners he had tonight. And you see his ability to creatively finish inside with little rolling hook shots and little square up jumpers. And he's just got an array of inside moves, and he's 6'8". Put it on the deck. And you know what? Try to jam everything. I'll tell you the other guy for Draymond Green, you're going up against a team that has a lot of length, and Robert Williams has got a lot of length. Green's got to go for the jam. No more layups. Take one more dribble, get a little closer to the rim. That one where he got blocked.
I don't think he's behind for it.
I just want to see him get one more step closer to the rim and then look to jam everything. If you look to jam everything, if they're going to block it, it's going to be a foul. You're going to the line. Don't put the ball off the glass unless you're going to, or pump fake. Williams, has anybody used a pump fake on Robert Williams in this freaking series? My God. Every time this guy trails a play, he gets the block. And more times than not, it's freaking clean. Give this guy a pump fake or go up and under, get creative. Know he's there. He's lurking. He's long. He's athletic, and you haven't given him a pump fake yet. My God, if you give that guy a simple pump fake and he's going to jump out of his shorts. My God, give him a pump fake and stop giving him easy blocks time and time again in transition. It's tough to watch. It really is.
Or use the rim. Get to the other side of the rim.
Exactly.
Payton,
one thing we
dunker spot guy than Draymond.
Yes, I totally agree. Right.
Shout out to the Giants. They just closed out the Royals 6-2 final.
Look at that. Giants are hot.
They are now only 3 games out. The Padres and the Dodgers are tied for first.
Giants win another game where they get 5 hits. Alex Wood started, Lovera, McGee, Doval. We'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. One thing I want to say about the Warriors, though, we're kind of having fun with this and talking like it's going to be a breeze. It's not going to be easy to win this thing, and Boston can still come back. They're young enough, they're athletic enough that and they're going to be confident probably in Game 6. But
they have the ability to somehow go nuclear from 3-point.
This
and who said it was going to be a breeze? I think that's one of those.
None of it. I'm just
arguments.
reading some of the comments in the chat. It's kind of like, hey, people, this is going to be it or whatever. But I kind of liken this to the New York Rangers Tampa Bay Lightning series. New York Rangers went up 2-0. Tampa Bay, the 2-time defending champs, came back and won the last 4. And they did it because of their experience, and they never panicked. And that's kind of where I see this Warriors team. Down 2-1. They needed to come through. Steph carried them Game 4. And then, Game 5, they take it to them without Curry having an effective offensive night. But you know what? I still don't think Steph was, even though he was 0 for 9 from 3,
how about that? 200. I think it was 233 games. He's gone.
But
he's hit at least 1 3, and he hit none tonight.
He could care less about that because they won, and he's happy. He doesn't matter. And the thing is now he's free to start another, and he's going to be just more free. And here's the deal: he played not that bad at all tonight. He had 8 important assists, and it was because the guys were, trapping him and he was hitting the open man. I think it just kind of played right into the Warriors' hands with the way Boston ended up playing that defensively because Curry is not a selfish player that's going to start jacking up shots just because he's expected to carry the team.
He found the open man. He swung the ball around. He didn't just say, you know what, I'm having a bad night, I'm going to drag the whole thing down. Todd Jersey Architecture Incorporated says, Ryan, the Celtics are a better team is still here, right? They're coming at you for your game 3 pronouncement that the Celtics were the better team. Do you still feel that way?
I still feel that way. But
you still feel the Celtics are the better team?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, well, strongly.
Oh, but, wow. I think the Celtics have a ton of talent, but you got to remember this. And I made this point the other day. Go back in the history of the NBA Finals. How many times has the best player in the series won the title, compared to how many times the best player in the series was on the losing team and lost the title? Steph Curry is undoubtedly the best player in this series. But I would go, forget this series. Take our entire lifetime. Take the last 2 decades. Take the last 3 decades if you want. Go back to the mid-'70s if you want. If you go any earlier than that, I don't know. But I mean, you take like 75 on. How many times in the history of the NBA has the team that showed up and had the best player in the series lost the finals? And I bet you if you charted it for the last 40 years, you'd find it's a overwhelming number of times that the team that had the best player wins the series in the NBA Finals more times than not. Would you agree?
Yeah, the best player in a lot of those, though, historically, I think was on the best team. Like, I think that in 15, I think that LeBron was the better player than Steph. Or no. Wait. Well, in the small sample size of that series, I guess I would probably say LeBron was a little better than Steph. Steph still deserved Finals MVP. 2016, if he didn't get injured,
you can't say KD. KD was the best.
Yeah, KD was the best.
Oh, well, I still think Steph. I think Steph's been the best player in the league since 14. Just in terms of impact.
Well, to me, KD was the best player he deserved the Finals MVP. I thought he was the best player and then played the best. So I'm giving it to KD. But I mean, I'm just saying, forget the Warriors for a second. Just go beyond. All those years with Michael was the best player. All those years with in Magic Johnson and
I thought this was like the 04 Pistons kind of 2019 Raptors type vibes. I mean, it's hard to say. You can say that for
most exceptions. I'm not saying it's without exceptions. There are exceptions. I'm just saying that more times than not, whoever's got the best player, that team tends to win. Now, Ryan, your point could be a salient point, which is that oftentimes the best team also has the best player. So it's not necessarily just because they have the best player, but they have the best player and they have the best team. But I'm just saying it's pretty rare that the team with the best player on it winds up losing in the NBA Finals.
I would say that for most playoff series, though, also. And so that's the thing is it's like, well, I mean, they did beat KD and Kyrie, and they did beat Giannis, who averaged 35 and won a Finals last year. And then they also beat whatever crazy thing that Jimmy Butler does during the playoffs. They beat that too. So I was kind of like, you know what? This is a pretty damn good team. But I mean, because honestly, if you went 1 through 5, the best players in this series, I mean, I don't know. I think Smart's been a top 5 guy. I think Tatum's been a
player in the series. I mean, Jaylen Brown has been terrific until tonight.
Been terrific. I would say in the top, if you went top 5, I would say it goes
Curry,
then Brown, then Smart, then Tatum, then Wiggins. Coming into
wait.
And then coming into tonight.
Oh, okay.
And then it probably goes Horford. I mean, Derek White had a huge game.
Those guys are all role players, though. Yeah, but I think 1-2 in this series. Top 2 is Curry Wiggins.
That's crazy.
I think he's played better than Tatum. Tatum played a decent game.
He played better than Jaylen Brown, though.
Well,
Brown was 0 for 5 from 3 tonight and was a Celtics worse minus 19. Brown was minus 19. I like Brown a lot. I really like Brown a lot. I think he's a great young player.
I think if you can keep him going left as Van Gundy was saying, he's been saying it all series, and we've been saying it too, is just make him go left, make him and Tatum and Smart all go left, and they do. They don't have as much quickness. They can get by them, but then they tend to not finish when they're going left. They tend to kick it out. And
as far as to me, I would say, that the Warriors are the more talented team. Why? Because I always look at it as how many NBA starters does a team have? And I'm looking at Boston. They got their 5 guys who start. Grant Williams is a starter caliber player for sure. And I think everybody else on their team is a bench player. So they got 6. Yeah. Their entire starting 5 in Grant Williams. So basically the only guy who I'm saying who doesn't start for them, who I don't think is a starting player, is Derek White. I think Derek White's a bench player. But I look at Golden State and I think their entire 5 is their entire starting 5 are starting caliber players. And then I look at their bench. Iguodala's a starting player. He's old. Bielitsa's a starting player. He's old. There's no doubt Looney is a starting player. There's no doubt in my mind that Moses Moody is a starting player. There's no doubt in my mind that Jordan Poole is a starting player. I'm not saying on Boston, right? I'm saying NBA starters. Moody, Poole. I'll say Payton's a bench player, though he could be a role player. But this is on the bench. This is the Warrior bench tonight. Moody, Poole, Looney, Iguodala, Kuminga, Bielitsa. Count the number of NBA starts in those guys' careers when they're all said and done. There's going to be a ton of starts for those 6 players. Boston doesn't have 6 guys who are going to have big starting minutes at any point in the future or any point in the past. Literally, their guys. Let me look at their guys. Grant Williams has got starter potential. Cornette, Morgan, Hauser, Naismith, Pritchard, Stauskas, Fitz, and Daniel Tice. And maybe Tice. The rest of them are bench players. They have 6 or 7 potential starters. Golden State's got a ton of starters, and only Iguodala can you say, well, yeah, he's long in the tooth. But so what? The guy started in the league and was a Finals MVP. I'm just saying, at any point in their career, are they going to be true starters? Golden State, when you look at this career of Moses Moody and Kuminga and these guys are going to start for they're going to have hundreds and hundreds of NBA starts. This is a really, really deep and talented Warrior team that I don't think gets the credit because their core is a little bit past their prime, and the young guys have not quite entered their prime. So we look at this team as a little too old and a little too young, and that was my question. Does Boston have too many guys in their prime compared to Golden State with a little too old, a little too young? But what's happened is their Warrior young players have matured and played well. I see Jordan Poole, and then their veteran players have risen to the occasion and played key roles. So, and also Kerr shortened his bench. Really, only Looney, Payton, and Poole played significant minutes off their bench tonight for Golden State, and Boston is limited their bench. They really only went 7 deep tonight.
That tends to happen as each series goes along. The bench tends to get a little bit shorter. I just think the Warriors veterans really, really want this. I'm not saying Boston doesn't want it. I believe Boston really does want this bad, but I think the Warriors
it's over.
Want this. Is that Burger in the house?
Burger coming by. Well,
Burger over there? Did he come by?
Yeah. There was a Burger sighting. Outside the studio.
I kind of had a feeling by watching you. Bring in Burger.
It was a small burger, but it was a burger. Yeah. Burger's going out with my son for a little celebration. Maybe he's commiserating since his team lost. But yes, there was a Burger sighting near the studio, but not in the chat.
Okay, but I
James,
was saying that
go ahead, Danny. Finish your thought.
I just think the Warriors veterans, Clay really, really wants this, and Wiggins. You've heard him say how bad he wants to win. I said, obviously Boston wants to win, but when you have guys that are like Thompson that have been through what they've been through, and Curry, they don't know when they're going to get back there. There's no guarantees because they experienced injuries and missing 2 full seasons and Curry missing the whole season but 5 games. Anything can happen. So at this point, these guys want this. They want it because they've tasted it before and they know what it's like, and they're going to lay it all out there. And the thing that's great about this, having 2 days off between, you can play really hard in game 6, give it your all, and if you're getting blown out, then you kind of pull the horses. But
I like that too. What do you think about that, Rod? Do you like the extra time that Danny's referencing there? Because I think I like that. I think when you get a little bit extra time, what you get is what we get, I should say, is just a better overall product. You know what I mean? I know it's a war of attrition. Heck, these guys started training camp in September and opening night was freaking, people were trick-or-treating. And now it's almost the 4th of July. So we know it's a war of attrition. But I like when we get to the finals, they give them a little extra day, a little bit more time for us to talk about it. You know what I mean? A little bit more build up. But I think it's better play when the players are fresher. What do you think, Ray?
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of what made the Curry game so miraculous. It was like, holy crap. That was 1 day of rest in between. That is the one game in the finals. That's that little rest. I mean, yeah, I want to see like everyone playing at their best. And I mean, I don't know. Honestly, with this group though, it definitely, if you go through the guys who it definitely helps, it's like helps Horford, helps Steph, probably helps Draymond for sure. Helps probably Payton.
It helps everyone, really.
It helps everyone.
I mean, Porter's got a sore foot. He was limited to 15 minutes tonight. It gives them the extra rest, gives them the knowing they have game 7 in their back pocket. If they have to, they can go out, play hard.
I hope they don't even think about it.
I think they're going to go out and want to close it out on Thursday night, and you're going to see them play a really intense game. And if for some reason they get out of it, they try and make a run. And then if they, make the run and then Boston pulls away, makes another run, then they say, let's save our energy for game 7. But otherwise, I think if they're in the game, as long as they're in the game, they are going to go for right then.
The other thing, we talk a lot about the refs and justifiably so, because the refs have an impact, and seems like there's kind of this weird flow always to NBA games where it just feels very like, I don't know, like there's some kind of script or something. It's a bizarre feel. You don't get that feeling in college basketball. You don't get that feeling watching high school ball. You do get that feeling when you watch NBA. But I'm not, blind to the Warriors getting calls. How about that sequence? Was it third quarter or fourth quarter where Poole flopped, got the call? This Andrew Cassidy says the Celtics let the refs get in their head too much.
Yeah.
It got away from focusing on their game and running their offense. Andrew, I think, is spot on that one.
100%.
I thought the Warriors guys got maybe 3 or 4 really, baffling calls, that went in their favor tonight. And Poole on the flop was one of them. I mean, he didn't get hit there in the face. If he did, it was a slight brush. Someone's at the door. See who's at the door.
I think it's Coach.
Steve,
yes, sir. How you guys doing?
How are you? What's going on, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great effort tonight. It was funny because I've been focusing on Draymond Green, and I thought, I told you on the trip back that they were going to sit down with him. And they were going to tell him, hey, you got to stay focused. And he was a completely different player most of the night. I mean, he had a couple of breakdowns, but, he was blocking out. He rebounded. He helped them get off to a great start. I thought his self-control was really good. There was a situation, it might have been in the second quarter, where he had the ball and Jaylen Brown fouled him, and there was a loose ball, and he fouled him again. They ended up calling the foul on Jaylen Brown, but he was kind of draped all over Draymond on the floor, and that's normally where Green is going to react with some kind of a push, some kind of an elbow. But he didn't say a word. He just got up, they took the ball out of bounds. There was one play where Green got fouled. He thought he got fouled, and he jogged back, and they ended up, getting an offensive rebound, and then they ended up getting the stick back. But I felt tonight he was focused, and that was great to see. He made I think he made a couple free throws. But, tonight there was really the start of the third quarter kind of reminded me the start of the fourth quarter in game one, where they came out, they took bad shots. There were some really bad calls. I thought the most ridiculous call I saw was when Curry was trying to get open on the baseline and Horford kind of backed up and stuck his rear end out, and then
they said he ran through the screen. It was an offensive foul on Curry, and that was an absolute aberration. That was a terrible call.
Well, the ref wasn't even looking. He looked when he saw Curry run over Horford. That's when he turned, and then he called the foul.
And not only that, it's the inconsistency, because Brown fought through a screen that was not nearly as aggressive, and they didn't call the foul there, and they called it on Curry. I mean, that to me, it's like, come on, that was really bad. Curry was. Let me ask you this, Steve. Andrew Cassidy in our chat here says the Warriors came out with insane defense. The Celtics had 12 points halfway through the first quarter. I don't know if it was insane defense or if Boston just was off at the start of this game. What was your perspective on that?
No, the defense has definitely improved.
In the second half, he's talking about specifically.
Really forcing a lot of the players. They have dominant right-hand players that want to get downhill, whether it's Tatum or whether it's Smart or whether it's Brown. Those three guys are, when they go to their left, they just aren't as skilled making plays. You could see Tatum, he'll sometimes bumble it. A lot of their turnovers come off of when they are forced to put it in their left hand. So they're taking away the right hand. They're up on them to where they're taking away the shot. And they're not always getting and taking away the right hand, but they're doing it way better than they have been at any time during the series. They're not overextending the defense, so they're not getting broken down as much. When they do drive, I think they're quick to react and help. I thought they played great team defense most of the game, and that affected. Tatum just he in this series. He came into the series and they were touting him as a guy who could be a superstar, but he hasn't been able to deliver. He hasn't been able to make the big shots. Jaylen Brown has been more effective in the series offensively for them. But look, it's 3-2. They're going back to Boston. Boston is capable of beating the Warriors back there. And it's way too early to celebrate or call this thing over, because anything can happen, including the number one thing that factors into any sport, injuries. So I'm glad the Warriors are 3-2. I'm glad that they have, at least Game 7 coming back. But this thing's not over until it's over. And I still don't think Boston's going to be an easy out. They showed that in the second half. It looked like they were done at halftime, and boom, they end up taking a 4-point lead at one point in the third quarter.
I think there's even 5.
One point on Tatum, Coach, that I think is interesting. Tatum, and they've said this like 5 different times, they've been killing us with this subplot. Tatum loves Kobe. Tatum admires Kobe. The more I watch Tatum, the more I think he thinks he is Kobe. He's 6'10". He's 6'9", 6'10". He's got an advantage inside on almost every guy that that's guarding him, and he looks like he wants to be Kobe. He looks like he wants to move a little left, move a little right, hang on the perimeter. I mean, you've got a size advantage. If somebody's got a quickness advantage, then either back him down and shoot over him, or get inside. But when you have the size advantage that he has, and he's willing, so not just willing, wanting to kind of handle it and kind of get into a little rhythm, and it's like an and one mixtape. I mean, it's the finals, and you're playing games with the ball, doing one-on-one stuff, trying to be Kobe Bryant, what Kobe Bryant was in your head. You're not Kobe Bryant. You know, you can admire Kobe. You can wear his wristbands and everything, wear his number. You can do whatever you want, but your game is different. Can he recognize that he's not Kobe? I'm seeing a guy that looks like he wants to show that he's Kobe more than he's intent on using his advantage to his benefit.
Well, I mean, look at Giannis with the Bucks. I mean, he dominates what is needed. And he's one of the guys that they will go put him down on the block and they'll post him up. And he'll spin and get, I mean, but, you know, Tatum he's not as strong as Giannis. He's not as good. Now, he may be a better perimeter shooter than Giannis, but Giannis, when you need a bucket, you know he's going to get to the rim. I don't believe Tatum has that strength. I don't believe he has that kind of leverage. And his game, you know, they made that play at the top of the key. He hit that three where, you know, he kind of crossed over and it was a beautiful play and he rose up and hit the three. And he can get into the lane and he can finish. He has shown that. But as a team, the Warriors have done a better job stopping penetration, forcing him to go to his left hand. And when he does get by somebody, they're quicker to help. The Warriors have definitely improved their defense. There's no doubt. But, you know, it's interesting tonight. You guys were talking, I was listening, you guys were talking about Payton, and there's just no doubt that he adds so much to the team. But you know what was interesting tonight? They made the decision that they were not going to let Steph beat them. They were going to face guard him. They were going to take him out. They were going to cut off the handoff. And really what they ended up doing, what Steph ended up doing a lot of times, just go standing in the corner. And what he created, what it did is it's almost like when you take two players off in hockey, there's more skating room. And there was more room for Wiggins to operate. There was more room for Thompson to operate. There was more room for Poole to operate. And, you know, once Steph, you know, he didn't try and force himself into the offense. Now, when he got it, he still drew, you know, the high on ball screen. That he still drew the double team, but now he's kicking it and it's a 4-on-3. So even though Steph was not effective, he didn't make a three and he only had 14 points and whatever, he still opened things up. And those other players, and significantly Wiggins and Thompson tonight, stepped up and made plays.
Yeah, he had 8 assists tonight with Curry. And that's a good point that you make, that he was standing in the corner. Because they weren't leaving him, and they were kind of had Smart was right in his face, even though Steph was just standing in the corner, and there was another player cheating over towards him in case he did start to move. So it was kind of like having two guys. It did open up the floor a lot more, and that's probably why, like you said, Wiggins was able to get to the hoop, and I saw Poole drive a couple times, got to the hoop. He got that drove and got the foul at one time, got the 2 shots. So, yeah, I mean, what do you see going in Game 6? You think Boston will keep the same plan for the way they guarded Steph tonight, or is there some type of an adjustment?
Well, the Warriors are beating them in the last 2 games in different ways. The effort that Steph made in Game 4 in Boston and what he did, we recognized it the other night as just, you know, off the charts historical. Okay. And then, you know, you can't expect him to duplicate that, even though he did have 4 games of, you know, he's averaging like 32, 33 points a game, I was noticing. But I don't know. I mean, Boston may go back to playing the way they did before and see if Steph can beat them and take their chances and not give up everything else. You know, it's interesting tonight. I thought Bielisa got exposed tonight. You know, he couldn't block guys out. His closeouts were terrible. He just, you know, Smart was really using him they just went right at Bielisa. They just gave it to Marcus Smart, and he drove right at the rim. They actually had to call a timeout to get Bielisa out of the game. So I don't expect to see him much the rest of the series. They may give Iguodala more time if he's healthy, but Payton's going to get a lot of time. So, but here's the thing. With the early fouls on Looney, and they started with one big guy. They didn't start
Porter.
Green.
They started with Porter.
They started Porter.
Yeah, they started the same starting lineup as the last game. And I think what that's about is more than anything is just they realize that Green is such a non-offensive player that they feel like they can only have one non-offensive player to make Boston defend at least 4-on-5 as opposed to, instead of going, playing some kind of huge shutdown Steph deal where they're two warriors that don't have to guard. Now it's more just like one. They can kind of, force Boston to spread the floor a little bit more.
No doubt. And I saw that kind of coming. Just we were talking about lineups that should be on the floor, and what I do see is they're going to stay with that. I don't think you're going to see Looney and Green on the floor very much at the same time. Maybe when they need defenses out of timeouts or whatever. But there was Kerr made some really good adjustments. They were coming out of a timeout. I think Tatum was on the line, and they came down and got a really nice play out of a timeout, which Kerr does a lot. He really does a great job with set plays out of timeouts.
Yeah, he does.
And,
he really does.
They were successful for that. But I was going to say something. Let me see. When you compare Wiggins and Tatum in this series, and Wiggins has been around the league, I believe. Tatum's younger than Wiggins, isn't he?
Yes.
By like a year. Yeah, like 2 years.
2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's been one of the greater advantages for the Warriors. You take Curry, nobody's got anybody like Curry. But I think in this series that Wiggins has outplayed Tatum. I think it's pretty clear. I think Brown has stepped up and did well. There's no doubt about it. Jaylen Brown has been more successful. But the one thing that you do have with the Celtics is still their core team. Larry, you're right. They don't have much of a bench at all. They're playing Pritchard and they're playing White and
Grant Williams.
Who's hurt now? Grant Williams, he rolled his right ankle tonight. It looked pretty painful. Yeah, they're thin. I mean, they're a relatively thin team. Coach, we're going to go to Cyrus here, so we'll let you go because it's probably going to be too packed of a room right now. But before we do, I want your thoughts on this comment from Digital Drew. He says, Game 4 crazy stats. Golden State shot 9 of 40 from beyond the arc.
I was just going to comment on that.
They got out-rebounded by 8. They win by 10. I mean, to me, if you had told me that could happen, that they could have such a disastrous three-point shooting night, that Curry could be a shadow of what he was the last game, and that Golden State would get beat on the glass, I would say maybe Golden State could eke out a 2-point win. To win by 10, it's pretty impressive. Give me what you're expecting to see Thursday night.
Well, I thought, the free throws did affect Boston. They did miss a lot of free throws. And then when they had their opportunity to really make a run in the fourth quarter, they really didn't threaten the Warriors much at all. I would say that I expect a whole new start, a whole new atmosphere. I think Boston will have their backs against the wall and they will play well. And it'll be a test for their 3 stars. Boston's missing piece to me is they don't have a true point guard.
Right.
They don't have.
They missed Rondo. They missed when they had Rondo.
Yeah, or if you even were to take one of the
Schroeder
brothers and put them on that team. Or but if they had a true point guard, because a lot of times they're having a hard time getting into offense, and they stand around and they end up just going one-on-one. They isolate a lot of isolation tonight.
Yep.
They didn't finish shots, and I thought that's my kind of final thought was what they were missing tonight was really any kind of flow or purpose on offense, and they ended up facing a team that was playing good defense against them, and they couldn't close it. And give the Warriors credit; they really and Wiggins had a lot to do with it, but it's still a team effort.
No doubt.
The Warriors, they have the depth to finish this thing. I hope they do finish it. But my prediction was still, and I'm going to stick with it, Warriors in 7.
There you go. I go Warriors in 6. Beat them on the parquet. Coach, Thursday night, you can be around? Can you stop by in the postgame?
I will try to. Okay. I have a commitment, and I don't want, if I don't watch the game fully and have any good thoughts, I probably won't.
I hear you. Well, hey, if you have time and everything works out, give us a call again. We'd love to get your perspective Thursday night. Hopefully of the Warriors clinching a title.
All right, guys, have a good night.
You too. Steve Coccimiglio, former basketball coach at DVC, and I hate to bum rush him, but we've got Cyrus hanging out in the green room, and I can't have Cyrus trash in the green room. I mean, that's, you leave Cy back there for a minute, he's okay. If you have the security guards back there with him, I feel better. When the security guard who's not back there tonight, because we took game the night off, is not back there, and Cy's back there with our booze and our spread.
He's turning over the tables.
Exactly. And I already see the smoke, and it's a non-smoking green room. All right. On that note, we welcome in the czar of all that is Locked On Warriors, and that's Cyrus Saatsaz. Cy, we've been chewing this thing up for an hour and 15 minutes. We got 300 plus people in the chat. Lots of people, wanting to talk a lot of Warrior basketball. Give us your perspective on this thing. I think you have been incredibly passionate and knowledgeable on Golden State. I think one of the best Warrior interviews over the last 6 weeks. And you never seem like you have any shortage of observations. So we'll give you the floor, my man. What did you think of a huge Warrior win tonight?
It was just huge. It was absolutely huge. Who's the coach guy that came on before me?
That's Danny's brother, Steve, who coached at DVC for decades.
So his last name is Coccimiglio, and he's actually a coach.
Yes,
that's what I was trying to say. What's funny is that he was a coach because you called him coach, but then he's just a coach. He's not a coach.
He's actually a coach.
Yeah,
and my other
Danny's a coach as well. Danny's like a life coach for Faith and for Buster.
My
Steve
other brother
actually coached basketball.
My other brother actually is coaching at Cal Berkeley.
He's more of a couch.
What is your other coach?
I respect that.
Your other brother coaches what?
Out back here, by the way.
Coaches
Sorry
at
about
Cal
that.
Berkeley.
Dude, I mean, it was so he still coaches DVC's basketball team?
No, he just retired a year or two ago. Yeah, he ended up over third winningest coach in California JC basketball history. Yeah,
but you know how it is, Cy. I mean, it's great to get the perspective of a guy who coached even at the collegiate level, because he sees things and sees the game on a level that the rest of us don't. And so I think it's just great content. Steve's given us some incredible insights, but you have as well. So we cleared the deck for you here.
Thanks, brother.
We're an hour and 17 minutes into this live stream.
Too, man. But he's worthy too. Like, I feel like there's so many talking heads in this world, and like someone who actually has coached at any level. I mean, I don't count I coached youth. That doesn't count. But like college, yeah, that counts, man. Like, that's bravo. So you should give him time, man. Thank you for bumping him for me. I'm flattered.
What was the key factor tonight in this thing? I mean, first of all, give us your perspective on Wiggins and what we saw from him tonight.
I mean, it was a lot of weird things. I mean, for starters, like if you had come to me and before the game started and said, I'm going to tell you part of the future, but not the whole future. And the part of the future I'm going to tell you is Steph and Curry's going to go 0 for 9 from 3-point line. I would have freaked the F out if they didn't tell me what the result was. I would have just been just sweating. That would have been the worst news ever. And it's incredible that they easily overcame that. Like, that was not even much of a problem. I mean, the only reason why they had a problem was that third quarter, because the Celtics, I really think the Celtics, that was like how like a dying person suddenly has just like those last breaths and just
they void their bowels. Yeah.
They're just trying to fight to survive. And I feel like that was that. I feel like that was like the Celtics were just, I think they're seeing their curtain closing on them, and they're seeing their dirt being poured on them, and they're like, oh my God. And so they gave their absolute best effort in that third quarter. You got to give them respect, dude. They are a great team. Yeah. Like they're a phenomenal team. But at the same time, like they picked the wrong quarter to do that. Like they played like that in game one in the fourth quarter. And it was, like if Jordan Poole, first of all, hitting that shot at the end of the third was just awesome. He's had two buzzer beaters.
How awesome was that?
It's incredible, and that one really meant something. Like that was huge. Like that gave the Warriors the lead back. It was like just give them momentum. It was just like a lot of stress just went away when he hit that. It really was a pool party. It was awesome.
He must be so annoying. Like the way he was like, like
he's annoying me.
I
love him.
He annoyed the shit out of me on that heat check 3 that Steve Kerr was rolling his eyes about in the second quarter.
But like if you were a Celtics fan or like you were on the Celtics and you have this guy that's freaking, like he can't play really good defense, but like, he's using some tricks. Like even though he's a young guy, he's using some tricks. He's pulling some Marcus Smarts on Marcus Smart, and he's just hitting freaking, impossible shots at the buzzer, just demoralizing shots. You got to be just like, this guy's so lucky. I hate him.
Yeah, but I'm not in that shoes. I don't have that perspective, so I don't care. Like, let them get pissed because he's our boy and, we're winning. They're not. Like, I just watched this episode of Seinfeld the other day where like they were like Elaine always rips George and he was like, I beg to differ. He's the loser in the relationship, and and to the victor goes the spoils, and to the Warriors are the victors, man. They're the winners. I'm happy. Look, that all kidding aside, man. I mean, Wiggins obviously was huge. Wiggins, it's weird. Like the Celtics kryptonite is like a Jimmy Butler type. Like Giannis is like a Superman Jimmy Butler. Like Giannis is like a 7-foot Jimmy Butler, or whatever you want to call him. Like, but Wiggins is in that mold, and it's just incredible that he's on the right team. He's the perfect fit here. He does really give a what about basketball. Like 100%. There's crazy stories out there about what he sacrificed and whatnot. So he has this like amazing performance. I thought Klay Thompson, like his threes were like huge for momentum. Like his threes were like great timed. Like some threes are just irrelevant. They're at a certain time in the game that just doesn't have a lot of impact. Klay's 3-pointers were like always either they would slow Boston's momentum down or they just start the boulder rolling again for the Warriors. Like his threes were huge.
Well, how about when he put Marcus Smart on the ground?
I was just thinking the same thing. I love the no call.
Yeah, I did too.
It was like 7 seconds. He almost shot it, and then he was like, wait, let me think. Okay, practice 3. Just wetted it.
I love that
incredible.
Because like if you want to call the game correctly, the whole play, Smart was fouling him even before he even, took the shot. So I think that's ref let him play. It was good. And I don't think it was that big of a push off to make Smart go flying.
No.
No
and
way.
it goes both ways. This was like, I feel like for the first time, it's so rare to have a game like this where calls are actually going the Warriors' way for once, like all the questionable calls, like they just don't ever seem to go in the Warriors' direction. I feel like the Warriors constantly are overcoming the secondary opponent, which is the officials who just don't give them the benefit of the doubt. And I mean, Steph had 2 free throw attempts tonight, like he attacked the rim a lot. It's just, it's so wow. Like Klay got a call, and look, he got that call, but I also remember a lot of times where the Celtics just tonight got calls, and I don't, so good for Klay. I'm happy he got that.
28 to 16 in fouls.
But exactly. But he also, Larry, you mentioned the rebounding battle, how the Warriors did get killed there tonight. But the Warriors
was it -8, something like that.
Maybe it was
minus 12,
47. It was 8. You're right. 47-39, 8-4 in the offensive glass, and a lot of that was Robert Williams. Actually, a lot in Tatum too, but the Warriors made up for that with a turnover battle. Like they
only had 7 turnovers. That was great. They took care of the ball.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And they only had 7 turnovers, but they caused, I think, like 18.
Right.
And they got 22 points off those turnovers. And
they were pushing.
They were pushing every time. And they were like momentum killer turnovers. Like, it was just the timing of everything tonight was perfect for the Warriors. The Celtics picked the wrong quarter to have that run, which is the third. The Warriors withstood it. And, Gary Payton II, who led I think the whole game in plus minus, just he had a signature game. I always say, like, you give him minutes, great things happen, man. He had 26 minutes tonight. He went 6 for 8 from the field.
I forgot that he was injured at one point this year. That's how insanely well he was playing. It was like, oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah, of course he made that corner 3. Oh yeah, like.
Yeah. Hey, Cy, I'd be curious to hear yours. Before you were probably on your show. like hockey always picks 3 stars.
Danny's brought up hockey 3 times, by the way.
Yeah. I love playoff. I love
somebody.
Right, that's muted. Yeah, once you bring up the NHL three times, the third time you got to be muted, right? That's just it's. If we could have a gigantic X over Dan right now, it wouldn't just have a mute; it would just be X. Or if I could just write on the screen like NHL fan. And then it'd be awesome if Danny's bit was every time we talk to him, he's like, hey, they dumped it in the corner. And I thought it was an incredible power play where the Warriors had a man advantage there. We're going to mute Danny because that's 3 NHLs, right?
Well,
right? Would you agree? 3 NHLs. That's just,
he's got a family. He's got go ahead.
He compared our championship medal, like all of these years. Like I would compare us maybe to the Patriots. He compared us to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who've been there 2 years and won a bubble title. I
think Payton reminds me a little bit of Doug Gilmour in that. All right. Okay. Let me ask you this, Si, because when it comes to Payton, I can think of several examples this year where they didn't play him enough and lost because of it. Yes. I can't think of any games all year where you left there going, you know what? Kerr played Payton too much.
Never.
So play the guy, right?
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
Is it as simple as that?
I do. Yes, I really. It's weird. I mean, it's crazy how I had some Celtics fans jumping on me on social media after game 1. They were like, "Oh, Gary Payton II, ha ha ha, that's your savior." And where are they now? Where are you now, guys? Because I haven't heard from any of you in a long time.
They used to be in the chat a lot.
My comment to you was going to be, without mentioning any other sport,
watch out, penalty box could be coming.
Who is your top 3 players in reverse order tonight? Who is
does Cy look like a guy right now? Does his eyes look like a guy who wants to sit there and say back?
I got it. I'm always prepared for
inverse order of importance. In the inverse order.
Or do it.
Deal.
Or do
number
1, 2, 3.
Number 3. I'll go in reverse order. 3 through 1. Number 3 was Klay Thompson.
3. Okay, countdown now. 2.
Number 2 was Gary Payton II. Number 1 was Andrew
Wiggins. He agrees with me. Exactly. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
I know who your number 1 is.
All right, Danny gets muted for looking for people to agree.
He's muted for thinking Andrew Wiggins, the Canadian, was number 1. There you go. There's the hockey.
When you are searching the chat for people to agree with you, that's a penalty box. All right,
look at this. There's a stat that's crazy. When you look at Curry, Wiggins, Otto Porter Jr., who just was kind of
he was mad
in no man's land tonight. It was weird. Yeah. He was there, but he just wasn't doing anything crazy. So you had 4. You had Otto Porter Jr., you had Wiggins and Steph and Curry combined, and Draymond Green combined went 0 for 19 from 3. And the Warriors won this game by 10. And Larry, I feel like you and I nailed this a couple of games ago.
Thank you.
That it was all about the Warriors defense is what's dictating this whole series. They need to stop worrying about how to get points and worry about getting stops. And the moment they've figured out that should be the priority, because they have enough playmakers regardless to make up for the points. The Celtics just don't have, this 5-man lineup they can throw out there that can just blow you away points-wise. They don't have the offensive firepower. So defense wins championships in this series especially, and the Warriors are doing that. Bam.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm real close to a game misconduct.
Danny wants to know how come they don't shake hands at the end of the series. Okay. No.
They don't in hockey?
Why is there not a handshake line in the NBA? No.
When hockey, they don't shake hands?
No, they do. I'm joking. I'm saying for the NBA because he's made so many hockey references. So let's talk a little bit about Tatum, because my buddy who's a Celtics fan called me right after the game, and he is MFing Tatum up and down. Tatum's not a superstar. Tatum's not this. Tatum's not that. He's a very good player. Nothing more. You guys have a superstar. That's what a superstar looks like. That was after the last game. Tonight, it was like Tatum's a joke. Tatum's not what we thought. Tatum's good, but he's nothing great. People ESPN's trying to get him some all-time great, that he's some
He's
epic
a
guy.
superstar.
You think he's a superstar?
This is just
He's a
his Boston
superstar.
friend being like,
Yeah, this is my Boston friend being hyper negative.
Underdog. He's doing mental math to make himself an underdog to Steph. Like,
Exactly.
oh my God, we don't have anybody that's
Yeah.
good enough.
Is this your
Rye broke it
brother-in-law?
all
Is
down.
this your brother-in-law, Larry, or is this another buddy? in
No,
Boston?
this is one of my.
Okay.
This is though my brother, my sister, my nephew, who I love, more than anything in the world. He's a great kid, but he's pro Celtics, and my sister is pro Celtics.
Ooh,
And yes,
your sister's from here. What's going on there,
I know.
man?
Well, she's lived there now for a while, and she's
That's
pro
what-
Celtics.
Yeah,
And
my
I
buddy
sent her.
lives in Farmington.
No, my buddy
Connecticut.
Christian. I want to throw him under the bus. My buddy Christian Peterson. I want to call him out. He's a Getty photographer. He's a photographer for Getty in Arizona. He does like the Coyotes, Olympics, like D-backs, and he's from the Bay Area, man. He's from Alamo, California, Danville, and he moved to Arizona in his 20s, and now he's like a diehard Suns fan. And I constantly rib him. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like,
Give
why
me
are you
his
hating on the
address.
Warriors?
I'll
You're
take
from
care
here.
of him.
Cy,
Yeah,
I was
seriously.
Peterson,
the other day,
Getty
like, I can't believe
photographer.
you moved to Arizona. He's a Dodgers fan.
Just give me
Dan
the Arizona guy's
Coccimiglio
addresses. I'll take care of him. Me and
Dan
No, let me say- but no, tell your
Coccimiglio
buddy-
stops by
no, the-
with
me and
No, but the Tatum
Pasquale
thing,
will
no,
go have a visit with
Pasquale's
him.
going to stop by.
But the Tatum thing, though, just to add on to that, like Jason Tatum is a great player, man. It's just Stephen Curry is just a level above superstar, right? I mean, we're now talking about him being like a top 10 all-time player. That's a really, you can't go higher than that in terms of accolades, man. So just because Jason Tatum's not at that level doesn't mean he's not a great player.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a ring yet. He's
Top 12 guy. He's 24. Yeah.
He's 24, man. Yeah. It's so tell your buddy to chill out.
How
dude.
about this one,
Relax a little bit.
Cy? Our buddy, our mutual friend, the great Carl Kelsick.
Yes. What's up, buddy?
Fist in the air
Love
for Carl
dude.
Kelsick.
Yes,
Love Carl. Great
Carl.
man.
Yeah.
He points out, he says Celtics have shot 30.6%, and they've been outscored 57-39 in the fourth quarter of games 4 and 5. Tatum in that stretch is 2 for 10. Brown in that stretch is 4 for 11 in those fourth quarters. Carl Kelsick, what do you think of that? That's some strong data right there from Carl.
What is Carl doing now, dude? He was a great producer working with us at
Oh, he's the
KNBR.
man.
Like,
Carl, if you want to give us your whereabouts and what you're doing in the chat, we'd love to hear from you, brother. But
Maybe your social, maybe your credit card number.
no, Carl, we go way back with Carl. He's a great radio guy, years and years.
man.
Love the guy.
good
Haven't seen him
energy.
in
Like,
years.
he's a nice dude. He's like a
Seriously,
guy that
great dude.
I don't know,
Great
man.
dude.
There are just good people and bad people in this world, and then you have variances. But Carl's just an all-around good dude, man. And
Why, when you said
nothing but
bad
love.
people, when you said bad people, you looked right at Dan. I saw that. Did you see that? Did you guys notice that?
I know, I did.
He said
I
there's
did. Sorry,
good
man.
people
It just
and bad
gravitated
people.
there.
And when he
Just
said bad
gravitated,
people, he's like, bad people. And he looked right over at Dan.
Oh, man,
That wasn't right.
Taking it tonight.
Sorry, man.
SecureMoney.com right there on the web.
Hey, how about that
Quit.
comment, Anonymous? Put that one up from
Which one?
Anonymous. Curry should wear shamrock green shoes on
What's
Hey,
Thursday.
by the way,
Can we-
why did Curry switch his shoes in this game tonight? He started with the
No, he
red
did do
shoes and he went with
Yes.
the blue shoes later.
Because
when-
a reporter, if you don't mind me
Stole
jumping in,
shoes?
a reporter made Stephen Curry aware yesterday during a presser that he is 3-0 in this series when he wears his purple edition, whatever Under Armour. I'm not one of these shoe junkie guys, but whatever that shoe is, it made Stephen Curry looked at him and said, "I appreciate you." Like not verbatim, but he said like, "Thank you." Like he literally just looked at him like, "Thank you." Like I could use that. And he did it. Second half, he switched shoes, man, and they won. So he's 4-0 in those shoes now, and he better wear those damn things in Game 6.
So when did he switch? Did you? Because I thought it was halftime he switched. He wasn't on the bench?
I believe so. I remember Jeff Van Gundy making a reference to that, and I just started laughing because that's where it came from. Yeah, he's actually, I mean, dude, it's crazy. Superstition in sports is so weird, but it's real, man. It's a part of it, and you just have to respect it, as bizarre and illogical as it sounds. Like, it's just a part of it, dude. So
The
yeah,
announcers seemed crestfallen at the end of the game. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. I did. I felt like they seemed like, kind of like a little down that Golden State.
Come on, Larry. That's
I swear. Go listen to it. We're talking about an NBA Finals game. You're supposed to sound totally impartial.
Mike Breen's showing Curry a lot of love. Are you talking about Breen too? Is this
I'm
more
just
Mark
saying,
Jackson?
go listen to the last 4 or 5 minutes of that broadcast. They sounded kind of crestfallen, like in their theme. Like their theme was Boston in the third quarter was coming back, and they were going to win this game, and it was going to set up a 7-gamer. Now, I don't know. That was just my sense of it.
Jeff Van Gundy was
I'm wrong.
From all that COVID and whatnot, and he's just a generally kind of an aggro dude a little bit. And I feel like he's like, God damn it, like I got to go from Boston all the way to the Bay Area, and I've got COVID, and like I hate
that's a hell of a commute. That's not an easy flight.
Van Gundy has COVID or Breen?
Both. They both got it.
Yeah, they both
had it, and then is back. Right.
Yeah. And what's really weird is that Van Gundy, you could hear that he had it in Game 7 of the Celtics Heat. You
obvious.
Well, you had it, right, Cy? You're okay now, right?
I'm not nowhere near 100%, but like the stuff I'm coughing up is no longer like the thickest, nastiest stuff I've ever seen in my life.
Could you describe it? Could you describe the consistency of it?
Purple, it chewy like gum almost. I kid you not. Okay. It was just
what kind of
coming out of my body, man. It was just coming out of my body. It was weird. Don't recommend it. Mask up. Anyways,
Andrew Cassidy says Dan is flexing the Rolex right now. Look at that.
Look at you. Yeah, dude, it's subtle. Was subtle.
Is it a Breitling? What is it?
It's a cheap Casio.
Excuse me.
That is not a Casio. Is that a Casio?
That's not a Casio.
It is a Casio.
So then that begs the question, why are you wearing a Casio watch?
Why? Danny's got a Casio going.
It's just
SecureMoney.com on the web.
It tells time.
We just make fun of it.
It tells time. It works. Could have been a swatch. Could have been a swatch.
I think certain
I'm not into bling or anything like that.
I think certain accessories actually can downgrade you. And I think a Casio has to be up there. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, man.
Hey, you guys all thought it was a Rolex. So
Greg Harris says Casio as in the keyboards.
That's true.
So who was Rick Barry on your post gamer? Who was on your post gamer?
It was just solo tonight. It was just a celebratory. I had hundreds. Yeah, dude. I was rolling in the chat as well, man. A lot of people jumping in and.
What were you hearing? I mean, give us a sense of what what Warrior fans were saying to you in the post game.
Well, one name I haven't brought up yet is Jordan Poole. I don't know if you guys have talked about him, but he didn't do a lot. But what he did was huge. I mean, Steph. Yep. Here's the thing. Here's what I saw personally, like from my eyes, is that Stephen Curry was exhausted. He gave a lot in Game 4, and that's why his shot was not falling in Game 5. It's a very clear reason. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they were also spent. Like that third quarter run where they just were really giving their all. You could see in the fourth quarter they were done. Like they were done.
On the free throws.
They couldn't make anything. They had no legs. And I know they have an extra day for the turnaround, but one of those days is flying. And I just don't know if the Celtics have, that last extra lift because they've been battling so much more this postseason than the Warriors. Like the Warriors have been going 4-1, 4-2. That was their tough series. 4-1. They just chilled for a week. The Celtics were going game 7, like in players dropping left and right, and and then
you get there, Cy. Really good point because it is looking like it's starting to catch up the fatigue factor, and traveling 5 hours across 5.5 hours across the country is tough.
It adds up, man.
And Brown and Tatum are playing 44, 45 minutes. They played the whole second half until they basically came out when they waved the white flag. So that's tough. And
it is. And you got to consider too, like it's
and they're not
Eastern
Conference like Curry.
Well, Eastern Conference teams are a lot harder to scout and figure out just because of the limited number of games you see them during the regular season, the limited time you have to scout to feel them out on an individual level when you're actually on a court playing against them. Like it's hard to get comfortable and to figure a team out when you're playing against an Eastern Conference team, especially when you're in the playoffs. But by Game 4, I think they figured a couple things out. Chief among them, matchups and what works and what doesn't. But here's one thing as well is that, you know, Ime Udoka gets a lot of credit, and maybe rightfully so, but I sure don't see a lot from him in terms of coaching. Like, I see a lot from him in terms of motivating, borderline like scaring his players to play harder. I don't like, but I don't look, we haven't seen one adjustment defensively. He's just sticking almost like stubbornly to this game plan of let Steph have his, and let's prevent everyone else. And, you know,
Except
like
for
I
tonight.
think they were
Except for
blitzing him.
tonight.
I think they were blitzing him tonight, and it wasn't like
finally.
It wasn't
Sort of.
like what the Raptors were doing, but it was a, you know, and let's all just admit that they have, you know, one of the better defenses of the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And they, you know, when they do their blitzing, even if it's, you know, not the full blitzing, like, it's effective. Like, they thought that they could keep Marcus Smart on Steph Curry, and obviously they saw that no, you cannot just leave one, even if it's the best defense player in the league. But
he should have known that sooner. That was a little surprising to me. But regardless, so all I'm saying is that the Celtics are not like, they're not pulling out anything that you could label as, you know, ingenious, you know, or brilliant, or just even surprising. Like, so the Warriors are just, you know, they're playing their game. Like, they made mistakes in this game defensively. I don't know if you noticed how they were really switch heavy at one point, and that's part of why the Celtics kind of got back into the game in the third quarter, and they correct their mistakes fast. And I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking Game 6 it should be over. I mean, you never know, but this feels a lot like the when the Warriors beat the Cavaliers in that first finals, where they went back to Cleveland for Game 6, and you know, everyone knew that they could come back home and have the comfort of the home crowd for Game 7, but anything could happen in a Game 7, and the Warriors are so aware of that, and they're so intelligent. Like, I really think they're going to come out with extra urgency in Game 6 and try to finish this off, and I hope they do. You know, like,
hopefully they start fast and take the crowd out of it. Those first 5 minutes are very important. That they don't get down, you know, 14-4 or something again, because that makes it just so much tougher to climb out of. In that Game 6 in Cleveland, didn't the Warriors come out and just kind of blitz them?
Sort of. It was close. It was close throughout.
At one point, they really separated themselves. So I can't remember at what point in the game.
It'd be so sweet to do it in Boston, wouldn't it?
It'd be so
incredible.
It'd be so sweet. I'd rather do it in Boston. I want to see. I want to see the pain of Celtics fans.
I want this to end. I do want this to end. Right. That's like the most important thing. Let's just, who cares where it happens? But remember, Game 6 Clay, man. I mean, it's never failed. It's never failed. I'm knocking on wood right now. And it's, you know, I'm very curious to see what happens there, because this could be a Klay Thompson night, and Steph could be holding that Finals MVP trophy. I'm getting giddy, man. It's a very real possibility now. It's crazy.
We could have a real interesting, if they win in Game 6, we could have a real interesting Draymond sighting to the crowd. That would be fun to watch. I could see Draymond, if they win, him having a good laugh or something.
Oh my God. He's going to need security to get off that floor. You know, it's interesting. There's so much talk about how Tatum loves Kobe, and I brought this up to the fellows before. I just feel like in a lot of ways, this team, this Celtic team, it's amazing how they've gotten into the finals here with no point guard, and they have him playing point guard.
Well, they do have a point guard. I mean, Marcus Smart is a point guard. I mean, but what they don't have,
a point guard. He's not a pure point guard. He's a defender.
Yeah, but that's his natural position, though. I mean,
he's more of a point guard than a two guard, I guess. But I don't. I don't. He's not your prototypical point guard, right? He's more of an awesome defender.
Neither is Steph Curry, though.
But they don't need a point guard. What they're lacking is just they're one scorer short. Like, that's what, I was having this discussion with someone about what the Celtics are missing, and it's just, I could see like a Gordon Hayward being that missing piece, you know, because Jason Tatum can handle the ball. Like, I would not worry about the Celtics missing a guy that can, you know, carry the ball, pass the ball, you know, set up the offense. Like, Jason Tatum can do that. But what they're missing is one additional guy that can really put up 20, 30 points alongside
I'm glad their backcourt's
Jaylen
not
Brown.
Kyrie and Marcus Smart. That would be pretty tough. That would be tough for the Warriors.
But their chemistry was terrible when Kyrie was there.
Horrible.
By the way, Andrew Cassidy pays $10 for the super sticker. Way to go, Andrew! Thanks for participating. Thanks for being a fan of the show. And Jaguayo 56 donates $5. Says Krueg, what's crazy to me is before the playoffs, Steph, Dre, and Clay had only played 11 minutes together. Two-way Wiggs and Payton have been unbelievable. Where's Berger? Berger was just outside the door a few minutes ago, so I think he's out drinking with my son, or out partying with my son. But I
responded that, Larry. I'll respond to that 11-minute thing by saying, yeah, they played 11 minutes together this year. They also played in 5 straight NBA finals together. So, some people can withstand a couple years off, and come right back and
clearly
figure it out. And,
it is pretty amazing, though, that Golden State is here when you think about where they've been the last 2 years and what the last couple of years have been like. And
I'm not surprised, Larry. I'm not surprised. I predicted this in August. Dude,
really? You predicted this in August?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I was confident of it. I was
as Tolbert said, with a man with orthopedic shoes, I stand corrected.
Most people weren't, though, Larry.
Is that Chardon?
We're not, man.
Trick or treat.
Hello? Who is this?
Hey, this is Mr. Cassidy.
Okay, Mr. Cassidy.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Cassidy? Welcome to the show. You're on with Cyrus and Rye and Dan and myself.
Yeah. I've been watching. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great, man. Give us your perspective.
3-2 lead.
Good. Lucky enough, I was at the game tonight. I know Ryan's gonna give me some shit because he pissed off, but great game. Sorry, Dan, for the grief on your watch. That was not too
Dan's a very strong individual with a lot of confidence and, more importantly, a lot of FU money. He's got a lot of FU money. So he doesn't need to worry about being ripped about a Casio. But go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your feeling on tonight?
Yeah, I had a few, I wrote down some stuff, obviously, to be prepared for this show, but Dan, who was on earlier? Was that your brother?
Steve Coccimiglio, who's Danny's brother.
Yeah.
Coach Coccimiglio.
He had
Coach.
The one thing he said, the defense in the first quarter I thought was out of this world.
Yes.
It was insane. We even really touched on that. It was insane to start the game.
It was.
Of everything.
It was. And everyone wants to say that, that maybe they had that bad shooting night. And, midway through the second quarter, I think they had like 32 points. And, you can blame them on a bad shooting night, but every one of those missed threes or shots, most of them were contested.
Yeah,
I would say like 3 were potentially wide open, but we were playing unreal defense. And I thought that set the tone. A big thing, too, that I thought Kerr coached a phenomenal game.
Agreed.
And what I thought was good in the first half is he didn't rush Poole into the game. I don't think he threw Poole in until
late first quarter.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising as well. I thought Poole would get in there earlier. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Payton came in first.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think Poole is great, but if we're shooting well, we don't have to rush them into the game.
You're right.
I thought Kerr did that really well, and we were playing such good defense with our starting lineups because we started Otto again. When you threw in Payton, we just clamped down even more.
Yep.
And then once we started getting a lead, Poole came in, and we started going off. Obviously, that 3 at the end of the half, the place absolutely exploded. But overall, Kerr shot a great game. I think another thing that was very evident to me was Robert Williams is not 100%.
Yeah, he's every other game guy.
Tell that right
every
away.
Other game.
You can tell that right away, and that's why Grant Williams played more. And a lot of people are saying, like, even in the crowd, like, why isn't Robert Williams playing? He got kind of exposed on defense a little bit.
He lost the tip to Draymond Green. He lost the tip to Draymond.
Yeah.
So
exactly, and it was obviously nice right when the game started. Draymond came out with that big dunk,
Yes, he did.
And, you know,
And a
playing
layup.
good defense, obviously classic. He fouled out again, which, you know, I think is just, if I was in Vegas, it'd be minus 1,000 that Draymond would foul out every game. But, you know, that,
3 games, right? That's what it is. I think it's
3 out of 5.
right?
Yeah.
I think the only other one was like 4. He had what, 5? I don't know. We'll have to look this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're nailing
Brother in Vegas, whoever
nail on the head though there, Andrew, because the defense. I made a note in the first 5 minutes that they were consciously forcing Boston to go left, and then when they got by him, there was another man that switched right there, and they were right in front of him, and forcing Boston to just have to kick it out, and then there was another man in their face. And they had him shut down that first, especially that first 6 minutes of the first quarter. And it was so critical because getting out to that lead and then being up by 12 at the half forced Boston to come out and expend all that energy to get back into the game. And then when the Warriors kind of held on and took the lead back at the end of the third with Poole's shot, then came out in the fourth and got up by 8. I kind of felt really good at that point. Like, I don't think Boston has anything left.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing of the game, in my opinion, was you guys talked about this on your last podcast, was what are they going to do in game 5? Are they going to make all their effort to completely shut down Curry, or let him score those 30 points again and see if they can win? And what they did was go after Curry. And how many points do you have that night? Under 15?
Yeah.
How
16.
demoralized are you going to be flying back to Boston knowing that Curry scored, 16 points, went 7 for 22 from the field, and you still played a relatively bad game? And on top of that, the first game, I mean, Pritchard and White hit every open 3. Smart was doing his thing. It's like, if you're going to rely on Pritchard and White, I don't think you can win an NBA Finals, and that's where they got exposed.
And
Horford, that is a great point, Andrew, because think about this, guys. We are a fourth quarter Celtic barrage away from Golden State dominating this series. Dominating.
They would have won tonight. They should have. And that
they would have clinched tonight without that dominant.
That's what makes this series so great, though, is that the Celtics fan is telling himself the same thing.
They got a shot. They still got a shot. They still got a shot.
Crazy Warriors third quarter and Steph Curry's best game of his career away from. You know what I mean? So that's what makes this series so awesome.
It is an awesome series.
And I mean, I think that's what. I mean, Brown had an okay game, and so did Tatum. And I know you guys were making this point earlier, and this has been all over ESPN, Fox, whatever podcast we call it this week, of is Tatum a superstar? Because what he said before the finals that really put a red flag on it was, I don't look at myself as a superstar, this and that. And to be honest, since Tatum and Brown have been together in Boston, I always had concerns about them because I always felt like they were the same level of talent. And like, obviously Curry is our number 1 and Clay's our number 2. But I feel like I always thought everyone says Tatum's number 1, but you know, Brown plays like a number 1. And yes, Curry will have an insane game and Clay will have a game 6 Clay game, but Curry is clearly our number 1 player.
And also Marcus Smart sometimes is the number
Tatum
1.
And Smart. Yeah. Or Tatum and, Brown. I don't think it's clear between Tatum and Brown who is that superstar. And I think even if, say, tonight, it was a tie game, do you go to Tatum or do you go to Brown? And you could make an argument for both, and I think it went that way. And the last thing...
Well, here's the problem. Let me just say one thing. So many times Curry's on Tatum, right? And the one thing I think Boston side brought up the point before that he's not overly impressed with Udoka. I'm not either, from the standpoint of, if you have Steph Curry guarding Jason Tatum, why doesn't Tatum flash across the lane and with Curry on his hip and catch the ball where he can just put it in right over him? Instead, they're Tatum. Curry will be on Tatum. Tatum will be handling the ball around the 3-point line. I mean, he still has to drive in. There's still the potential for other guys shooting at him. Take the ball out of his hands and feed him if Curry's on Tatum, feed him the ball when he's got Curry pinned on his hip and catch it 3 feet in front of the rim, like the Celtics are doing with Robert Williams early in the series. They've gone away from that completely. Cy, give me your thought on that, because to me, one of the things I thought, oh no, after I watched the first couple of games, is Boston was getting so many easy looks by doing that, forcing the inbounds pass to Williams or Tatum in the lane where they could just turn around and shoot over the defender. They've gone away from that the last couple of games, and I think it's cost them.
Yeah, well, I mean, and part of it too is just there's only so much you can do, because even on those matchups where Tatum finds the mismatch, Curry has evolved into a very stout defender. I mean, the only weakness really that he has as a defender is his height. I mean, you can shoot over him, but he's even had like blocks in these postseason that have surprised many. So I agree in the sense that the Celtics are failing to outsmart the Warriors. Like, they're not doing that. They're just not. I mean, I don't see anything that they're doing that is surprising the Warriors. I mean, it's just, they're a very talented team who's very aggressive. And I feel like, that's the only way they can beat the Warriors is by out hustling them. But the Warriors have talent of their own. And just, yeah.
Hey, can we let you go on Brian Windhorst comments?
Well, yeah, let's do this. Andrew, we'll let you go. Quick. We'll let you go, bro, because we appreciate you, but we'll free up the line, let a few other people call in. But Andrew, thanks for being a fan, and thanks for listening, man. Thanks for watching, and thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
Andrew Cassidy, appreciate you, bro. And then we got Cyrus Saatsaz from the Lockdown Podcast, who's been working his butt off. So I'm going to let you go, Cy, because I
can
know
end on that note, though. Windhorst, because someone literally just messaged me while that guy was talking. That guy was a great caller, by the way. And Windhorst, who again, this is a guy who's a
checkbook win.
Yeah, he's a clutch propagandist. This is someone whose entire connections in basketball are based on his relationship with LeBron James, and he's very biased against the Warriors. I mean, he just has a track record of
very smart. I just think he's not very smart.
So he wrote. I'm trying to be nice.
Explain
nice to the world with media members, but so basically what he said is, I'm not disagreeing with you, Ryan, but I'm trying to be nicer in this world now toward media members, because a lot of people are just really sensitive in this. Anyways, Windhorst is quoted as saying they have a $340 million payroll. You just don't have to beat the Warriors on the court. You got to beat their checkbook. This was a checkbook win for the Warriors, unquote. And that's just ludicrous.
He said in his comments that Wiggins was a throw in the trade, and any other team in basketball would have gotten rid of him. But the Warriors.
The thing is, I mean, Wiggins is just the ultimate end result of Harrison Barnes. I mean, that's all that is. I mean, the Warriors have just been brilliant with drafts. To punish them for that is ludicrous, and I'll leave it at that, gentlemen.
When they made that trade for Wiggins, when they got Wiggins for Russell, I actually really liked the trade at the time, because I saw Wiggins' potential and his perfect fit, because, like you said, Harrison Barnes, and I said, this guy is an upgrade, more athletic. Harrison Barnes, he will learn to play D. He just has to be in the right environment. So I thought it was a great trade. And the fact that they got a number one and turned into Jonathan Kuminga for was a steal. I mean,
incredible. It is
absolute steal.
I'll end on this note, because we're gonna meet hopefully just one more time, and that'll be Thursday. And then we can obviously meet for other shows. But I mean, for this incredible postseason, if the Warrior, this is, and
I
this
mean,
is
Boston,
crazy.
by the way, is 10th in payroll. I'm looking at the payrolls right now. Golden State's number 178. Boston's 10th. It's not like, oh, wow, the little train that could. They're not OKC spending $82 million.
You're right.
And there's a cap in the NBA. My God.
But here, let me end this note, and then I got to balance.
Yep.
And this is the crazy part. If the Warriors win and when we meet next time, if the Warriors are world champions for the 4th time in 8 years, they're not going to have to do a thing with the roster. They're going to have to keep Wiggins, and rightfully so. Wiseman hopefully will arrive next year. Kuminga and Moody are just going to be a year better. Hopefully Gary Payton II will be re-signed. Hopefully Otto Porter Jr. will be re-signed. This Warriors team will be nothing but better because as their core ages, this new generation will just grow. And if
James
wild,
Wiseman
man.
is anything at all, they're going to be way, way better.
Way better. And so comments like Wendy's, this is envy, man. This is the ugly side of human nature.
Is ugly.
People are jealous. People, they want to be the Warriors and they can't. And
I'll say this. I'll say is this. Okay. Wendy works for who? ESPN?
Yes.
Let's hear Wendy say that on ESPN about the Yankees and the fact that they're doing so well. Let's hear about the Yankee money. If he's willing to say, "Oh, the Yankees," because I mean, what the heck? What's he talking about? This is a capped sport, and the Warriors were crap forever. I don't want to hear about it. I agree, man. Soak it in, NBA fans. Get used to it because they're here and they're going to be here probably for a little while.
Beautiful.
You're the man. You're the man.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. And
that kind of pisses me off. Actually,
me too.
I've got context. I didn't want to get into it because I knew Cy had a heart out. But Windhorst
pisses me off.
No. Windhorst is not. It's okay. I don't want to say he's not a smart guy, but this is the problem: is that he's been put now in this situation where, because he's an expert, he does get a lot of scoops. Because he was an early LeBron guy. He ends up on like every one of Zach Lowe's, like after the finals pods and all of these guys that are really, really smart that, what they want to do? They just want to talk about the basketball of it all, talk about the strategy, talk about the substitution, all that kind of fun stuff. But Windhorst can't quite do that. So he got really ripped because for the last two, post-game pods, like the ESPN basketball post-game pods, like the supposedly smart ones, he brought up LeBron within the first sentence. And Zach Lowe immediately called him out. He's like, dude, why are you calling out LeBron? Why are you bringing up LeBron? Like and then the same one, like he's been getting a lot of pushback. So he's just he can't quite talk basketball. So he tries to talk in terms of like things that people understand. Oh, well, the Warriors just spent more. But it's like, no, if you really want to talk about that.
There's a cap.
Not only is there a cap, but like, this is not about money. Andrew Wiggins, keeping Klay Thompson on the roster for the past 2 years, giving him a max deal to do nothing while he's rehabbing from an injury as a show of good faith, because that's the kind of organization we have. This is a victory lap for the organization, not some sort of like money thing. Like Andrew Wiggins was thought to be the worst contract in the NBA. We brought him in, and now because he's like turned into everything that everyone hoped, LeBron could have had this guy in Cleveland. Instead, he wanted Kevin Love. With the number one overall pick.
Let's talk about this for a second. Okay, there are five teams in the NBA who are spending over $150 million. Okay, do you guys, since it's obvious to Windy that the Warriors are a check team, who are the other 5 teams? Go ahead. Do you if you have the list in front of you, don't answer.
I don't. I'm going to say the Lakers.
Lakers check in at 164 million. How good were they? They weren't good. They sucked.
Clippers.
They were horrendous. The Clippers are at 168. Danny's got a list in front of him.
No, I don't. I have no list.
Okay, who else?
The Nets.
Brooklyn 174.
Okay.
So then you guys are really good at this game. Who's the 5th team? Those are the top 5.
If it's
Milwaukee.
Celtics, it's Milwaukee.
Milwaukee at 160. I still think you guys are looking. No, you don't know NBA salaries that well. Okay, who's the bottom 5? Who's the bottom 5 in the league?
Oklahoma.
OKC, Houston, Orlando.
No,
Orlando.
OKC, 82 million. Now that's embarrassing. That's
got to be on there.
Sacramento's not there. They're 21. It's OKC, Memphis. The Knicks, Charlotte, and Portland.
The Knicks are that low?
Yeah, the Knicks spent, but I mean, these teams are spending $120 million. It's not like they're spending nothing. Here's the thing: the top to the bottom, 178 at the top, and I said OKC at the bottom at 82. But throw them; they're the aberration. So go to the next team, Memphis. So the Warriors are spending 178, and Memphis is spending 117.
Yeah,
All right.
Memphis don't
go look at what the Dodgers are spending, and then go look at the bottom feeders in baseball, and tell me if it's double that, because it is.
Yeah,
I guarantee you it's double that.
I bet it's triple.
Guarantee you it's
triple.
Yeah, it's Dodgers are spending like $275 million, and somebody else. What are the A's spending? 50, 60, 70?
I heard that the Dodgers were over 300 with
tax
with Bauer still on the payroll until they get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers have this massive payroll that, nobody's ever banging on them. I mean, the Warriors were crap for decades, and now they've got an owner and a building that produces money. And it's not like they've gone out and signed a bunch of guys. They retained their own guys. And they bought a title last time around. It was a totally homegrown drafted team, except for KD.
And I'll say this about Windy. Let me say this about Windy. He doesn't know much about basketball. He did play guard, however, and that was he played guard in Pop Warner when he was 14. That was the only time he ever played guard.
Yeah, but you got this guy
right guard.
Oh, right guard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to rip Windy because I don't need to rip Windy. But I mean, you know what? That to point to money, whoever said it before, they don't. That means you have nothing better to say. That means you saw a list and you saw they're the highest payroll. But it's not like, we have seen high payrolls that exceed, what the rest of the league is doing. They're not in that category. They don't have that kind of payroll. The Warriors are spending 178. The second highest payroll is 174. So, I mean, what are we talking about?
Lair, this is, I think, his point is because what normally they would say in the past is they wouldn't even bring up the money of it all. They would just bring up,
there's a cap.
I know, but they would have just brought up, the Warriors are way more talented. This time around, because every national media member probably picked against them versus the Mavericks, said the Celtics were going to win. They said, other than Steph Curry, their 2 through 5 is worse than the Warriors. I mean, is better than the Warriors. So now because they can't talk about talent, they're going to talk about money. But who cares about money? All that means is you have a bunch of older players. Really, that's all it means. You have a bunch of older players with good reputations. Because if you look at the teams that have been winning titles, it's not like it's all these teams that are in the luxury tax. I mean, we haven't been in the playoffs for the past 2 years, and we still were the top of the league. The Lakers were crap this year. The Lakers were crap last year. The Nets still haven't made it to the finals. Who cares?
It's just, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, the Warriors have a terrific coach. They've got a great, a great organization. That they're on top. They're doing it right. They're developing their players. I remember all the Windy people at the trade deadline. You guys probably remember it as well. Every one of those jokers said that the Warriors weren't going anywhere unless they traded some of their young players for Bradley Beal. Well, they said, no, we're not doing that. And suddenly it was like, well, they're going to rue the day. They're getting to the playoffs. They won't be able to get by Phoenix. They're not big enough. They're a donut team. They have no center. And then Wiseman gets hurt. They're leaning on Looney. They got no shot. Heck, I picked them to lose to Denver in the first round just because I bought into all that crap. And then I watched them go by Denver, and I thought to myself, wait a second. This team is going to be a hard out. Now, I didn't know that they would win the finals, but I knew they would be a hard out. I knew they were not going to go down without a good fight. I knew they're deep and well coached and they'll be prepared and they're experienced. But I mean, to sit there when they're on the doorstep to winning the NBA finals and in a capped sport point to their payroll is such weak sauce. I don't even know where to begin. I mean, that's just pathetic.
It's very weak when you consider that just this week, everybody was talking about before Game 4, Boston is the team. They're younger, they're more athletic, they're stronger, they're deeper, and all this and that. And that was the national narrative. And now it's 2 games later. Now this was a checkbook win. This was only because of the deep pockets the Warriors were able to win this game. It's like, come on. It got
There's no way that any other team could have afforded Gary Payton. There's no way any other team could have developed
a key cog.
Yeah. What's Payton
it's a
making?
Guy who's on 9 teams.
$3 million. What's Payton making? $2-3 million.
Like their best play. Okay, this was disturbing. This was really a disturbing one when I realized.
Is he going to say that about the Yankees or the Dodgers if they win the World Series this year?
No. He doesn't know anything about any other sports. But okay, what about this? This kind of freaked me out. Because don't you think of LeBron as significantly older than Steph?
The top payroll, by the way, in baseball is $260. The bottom payroll in baseball is $46 million. So if you want to talk payroll disparity and bring that up as a talking point, go talk baseball.
What was
Otherwise,
it again? Two what?
It was the 260 right now. The highest payroll right now in the bigs is the Mets at 260. Dodgers are at 259. Yankees are at 248. Everybody is Phillies are next at 233. Everybody else is under 220 million. At the bottom of the payroll structure are the Orioles at 45 million, the A's at 47 million, the Guardians at 68 million, the Pirates at 69 million.
Almost
if you want to talk about
that's almost 6 times more.
Yeah, if you want to talk payroll disparity, go talk baseball. You're talking payroll disparity in a capped sport. I mean, that's loser talk.
Yeah, it's also one thing if it's like, okay, if he's like, I heard Memphis people complain about it a little bit, like sorry grapes at the end, and it's like, okay, I get it a little bit if your owner maybe doesn't want to go into the luxury tax. That sucks. But it's like, Windhorst, dude, you're just an ESPN employee that used to cover the Cavs who always mortgaged their future for the now at all times.
And there's no chance in hell that he would go on any ESPN anything and say that about the Yankees in October. He wouldn't have the balls to do that. So why is that a talking point here?
Yeah. What's he saying? 340 million. You're saying 170 something? Where's the 340? Where's he getting?
Because he's talking about the luxury tax penalties that Joe Lacob is enduring because he's got the repeater tax. See, in NBA, there's a repeater tax. So if you're over the tax, you pay a penalty. If you continue to be over the tax, you pay a repeater tax, and then it becomes even more significant. We probably should get Fitz back on the show because Fitz could talk to it in like specifics and could really frame this a whole lot better than any of us could. But once again, loser talk. To talk about Gary Payton, talk about the Golden State Warriors and their development team that they develop players at 5 o'clock and then won games in the regular season at 7 o'clock. Talk about that. Talk about how they rebuffed everybody.
Talk about Kevon Looney, the 30th pick in the first round. Jordan Poole, the 28th pick.
I mean, there's a million subplots.
Draymond
to say
Green,
that they won because of their payroll is just crap.
Pick in the second round. You know, the only guys that the guys that they're developing, Kuminga 7th pick, Moody the 14th pick aren't even playing. Wiseman, the number 2 pick, he hasn't contributed yet. So they're winning with, Steph Curry was the 7th pick. You look at the Celtics, Jaylen Brown.
The Warriors did this, Danny. The Warriors did this with no top 5 picks.
Yeah, exactly.
The Warriors have won all these titles with no top 5 picks.
Exactly.
None.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They have picked. Curry was the 7th pick. Thompson was the 11th pick. Draymond was in the second round, like the 37th pick. And they've developed those guys. Poole, I mentioned 28th, Looney, the 30th. All these guys were picked late, and anything after 15, you're lucky if they're good in the NBA. I mean, we've even seen guys in the top 10.
Draymond Green went 35th.
35th.
Right?
I said 37th. It was 30. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's a second-round pick.
Right.
He's a second-round pick.
Exactly.
Gary Payton was waived by the Warriors twice and has played on 9 combined NBA or G League teams. Come on.
You're getting me riled up here. I'm gonna Warriors winning Game 6. I'm auctioning off this watch. Okay.
Really? What's the opening bid? $9.99.
It's a Casio. $4.99.
Danny's trying to recoup full value. He's price gouging. You're the reason gas is so expensive. You're price gouging. Damn you.
Okay, I've got a question for you guys.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
This is a little more strategic.
Is it about price gouging?
No, it's not. Okay. So for
Matthew Mears says we need Fitz. Yes, we do, but Fitz is sleeping.
But okay, going forward, like if you're Udoka, would you go back towards a little bit more of the games 1-4 approach towards Steph, or would you stay with this? Because I will say this, and as much as Grant Williams just is so annoying, and even his teammates are annoyed by him, but his post, I listened to his post-game presser after game 3, and I thought it was really smart. He said, they asked him a little bit about Steph Curry getting off, and he said, or it might have even not been after game 4, but he basically said, look, I grew up watching these Warriors. I used to be a big fan of the team. I watched like them throughout all their runs. And like one thing you'll notice is like, yeah, they hit the crazy threes. Those get a lot of momentum, but where they really kill you is that they get so many freaking like wide open layups and good looks at the cup for like their others type guys. So basically he was saying like, we like what we're doing. If Steph Curry's going to beat us, he's going to beat us, but we're not going to let them get all those layups and whatnot. They still have to make tough, these tough, crazy shots. But then today you saw them change. You saw them, put way more pressure on Curry, and all those drives to the basket that we've been looking for from Wiggins. It was like, Curry's doubled, he gets it to Wiggins and then goes up for a monster slam. Well, not actually, but he was going, he was getting the ball with nobody covering him. And then, there would be like one rim protector, but it wasn't a big deal. So I'm wondering what they're going to do, because I think this is a head scratcher when you look at this. It's hard one to spin this, considering you literally just have to do the reverse spin of last game. Last game, you're like, well, Steph had the best game of his life. The other guys didn't show up. So, we're just going to continue the same process. But then they actually made a change. And then today it was Curry had the worst game and all the others played well. So, I don't think it's
okay. Well, you asked a question. Let me give you an answer. I don't think if I'm Udoka that I'm changing a lot of my defensive plan. My change is the fact that my team, my strong team, it can't get 100 points against this Golden State defense. So I'm changing up what I'm doing on the offensive end. I'm not worried about the defensive end. It's going to take, I thought they did a great job tonight. I think they did a great job on Curry, but you know what? I think they gave Poole too much room. If I were them, I would try to crowd Curry and Poole. Don't let Poole get into his creativity mode. Really, I think he's got a little bit of a looser handle, and I think there's turnovers there if you crowd him and have a lot of bodies around him and make him dribble in traffic. So I think, as far as the defensive thing would just be maybe crowd Poole a little bit more.
Hey,
but offensively, that's, if I'm Boston, I need Robert Williams or Jason Tatum or Al Horford, my three big boys, because they got three guys with size there. All three of those guys have to be fed the ball right in the middle of the key. If they can catch the ball near the rim, I don't think Golden State can stop them from scoring. If they can dominate points in the paint, I think that's Boston's best way to win. So if I'm Boston, I'm doing less of Tatum from the perimeter, less of Horford from the perimeter, and I'm flashing those guys across the lane, and I'm feeding them the ball when they cross the lane, and let them take their shot at point blank range. And if you're make Golden State deny those passes in the key, because I think that's where that breaks down the Warrior defense, guys. If Williams gets the ball 2 feet from the hole, if Horford gets the ball 2 feet from the hole, if Tatum has Steph on him and he catches it in the lane, that's either a foul or a really good look at a 2. And if I'm Boston, I'm doing that. And then I got to hope that in game 6 that Derek White finds the 3-point stroke. He started this series in fuego from beyond the arc, and Golden State has thrown enough different looks at him to make him uncomfortable. The one thing I can't stand from watching Derek White, guys, is his spin move is out of control.
Yeah,
he's out of control on that spin move, and the Warriors have never been able to make him draw. They never call the offensive foul. He either flips it up there or draws a foul. They never call it offensive, and he's always out of control. He runs that spin move at like 100 miles an hour. He has no idea if he's spinning into somebody or an open space or what he's doing with the ball. It's just a wild spin, and then he just throws it up and he gets the call. I've seen him get 3 or 4 foul calls on that wild spin, and he's out of control. He needs to be called offensive foul on that.
Yeah, he lost all his confidence as soon as we inserted GP2 into the last game. That's when he saw his confidence leave. He immediately picked the ball from him, and then it was over from there on out.
Yeah,
I agree. What do you mentioned offense, Larry, and did you guys see Udoka's quote about they would be up 3-1 if their offense was better? And Cy took a tweet.
Yeah, I saw a
tweet, and then he sent it to all the Warrior players.
Defense, because you know what, Udoka, he has a point. Because you know what, there's been one consistent thing throughout this series, and it's been the Warriors' offense. Listen to these totals. We're normally used to the Warriors getting off to being above 110, hitting the 120s, sometimes 130s. These are the Warriors' outputs for the series. Game 1, 108. That's the most of the series. Game 2, 107. Game 3, 100. Game 4, 107. Game 5, 104. So the most points we've even scored is 108. We've been between 100 and 108 the entire series, but Boston has gone 120, 88, 116, 97, 94. So that's the variable.
Yeah, well, it's
that's a good call.
Yeah, I was just happy tonight. I was hoping I did a little prop tonight, and I said that no team would go ahead. The line was 17.5, that no team would get above 17.5 at any point. I thought, oh, that's safe. And then the Warriors were up to 15, and I was like, oh, I hope they just push it to over 20. I was willing to say, I'll take one for the team, lose it, just go up by 20, 25. But then at the end of the game, it was like 16 it was 16 or 17, and Boston had the ball, and I said, oh man, just don't make it now. The Warriors, because the Warriors had the ball if they would have made it, they would have went up by 18. Yeah, they were up by 16, and I was like, it was like a minute and a half left, and I was like, I don't want a bad beat now, just miss it. Then the Celtics came down and got a couple of easy buckets to get it to 10, but I thought it was a pretty safe bet tonight. I thought game 5, 2-2. I didn't see anybody going up by 18, at any point in the game. So anyway, it turned out well for me, that one, but I was
if you just bet the alternate lines, both teams' alternate spreads by like 10 points, you'd get like plus 300. You could done it for both teams for every game, and you'd be up money, because every game has been, what was the closest game? 10 points? So
Kevin F says Jason Tatum looks totally defeated in the post game.
Oh.
It's weird watching a guy with that kind of size being guarded by somebody who's smaller more times than not, just camp on the perimeter when he's not. What's his 3-point percentage, right?
Oh, what does he shoot? It's actually something wild. For this series, it's something like 47% or something.
No, but what is it for the year? Forget this series. He's out there on the perimeter like that's his game strictly, and he's being guarded at times by a 6'3" player. Run to the lane, throw him the ball, let him catch it and finish in the lane, and keep doing it until Golden State stops it. Instead, they don't do that. They didn't do that. They're settling for very difficult shots from Tatum on the perimeter, and he's so good with the ball in his hands. He'll take a little dribble to the right, a little dribble to the left. He looks like he could blow by his defender at will, and just doesn't. So I don't know what to make. It's like, I almost feel like he's such a young player that we actually may be seeing Tatum, who's still very much ascending. He might be better in 2 years than he is right now.
Oh, he'll be better.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
But he's been in the league for how many years?
6 or so.
Yeah. So don't you usually fulfill your potential 3-4 years in the league?
Here's the thing though, with Boston, you look at what the Warriors had in their championship years. They had some veterans, Livingston, Bogut, when Curry and Green and Clay were young, and they had the maturity of those guys, and they had Steph, who's, in my opinion, has been the catalyst to the entire Warriors run with his joy and unselfishness and the way he plays the game. You don't see that in a lot of teams. There's always guys that are, we used to call them just ball hogs. They were selfish players. And you see that on a lot of teams. With Boston, they have never really had that leading vet that has been able to take these young guys, Tatum and Brown, and really school them. I mean, they have Horford, then he left, but Horford's never won a title. And so what I'm thinking here is that these young guys in Brown and Tatum and Smart, they came in from Boston tonight thinking, we're going to take game 5 and we're going to stick it to them. We're going to be the more aggressive team. And they kind of got punked tonight. And the way the Warriors came out, and that can have an effect, that championship DNA, we call it, or the veteran, that poise. And you started to see Boston kind of just self-implode with all their turnovers. And a lot of them were forced by the Warriors defense. But I think, if I didn't see his interview, but I can just picture them being a little bit distraught, like, crap, we just gave it our best and held Curry down. We shut him down and we got beat badly.
I think that's a great call. I think in some ways, I think this is demoralizing. I'm really curious to see how Boston looks Thursday night when they take the floor. The Garden's going crazy. The people are losing their mind. But I think at this point, for the exact point that Danny just made, and it's a great point, I don't know how much confidence Boston's going to carry into game 6. Because as Dan just stated, they lost when Curry went off. Then they had a nightmarish night from Curry. And you know that they got to be thinking on that plane right now, man, we just blew an opportunity. Steph Curry, one of the greatest players in the league, a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest shooters of all time, had an off night. And we
first game ever in the playoffs.
And we couldn't beat this team when Steph Curry had an off night. Uh-oh. And how do you not have that feeling, right? How could you not have the feeling of missed opportunity when Steph doesn't make a single three? And
has he ever had a game where he's gone 0 for 9? Because I know he's done 1 for 9 and 1 for 10 in the regular season. I've seen him clank some at the
it's a good question.
LA
I don't
Forum.
know.
He hasn't had a game where he didn't make a 3 since 2018, and he's never had a playoff game where he didn't make one. I believe
how many did he go in that 2018 game regular season? It was probably like 0 for 6 or something like that.
I don't know.
I mean, 0 for 9 is pretty significant. And he wasn't just off, he was short tonight.
He was taking really difficult shots, though, because he had to keep putting up threes to keep him honest.
Yeah.
He was taking crazy deep threes.
There's a lack of purity in his shot, though, Rye, because it's like, as Danny said, some of his misses are 3.5 feet short. I mean, literally short.
Legs.
Yeah, no, and that could be a factor too. It's a long year, and also this has been a long playoff run. And as I just outlined, and if you look earlier in the show, look at Boston. Look what they have on their bench. They really don't have anything. They have Grant Williams, and they have Derek White. That's it.
See how Grant
I don't think Pritchard is worth a damn. I don't. I think he can be bottled up. I think his footwork stinks. Stauskas could shoot it at Michigan, but that was a long time ago. Neesmith could shoot the hell out of it at Colorado. That was, he hasn't done that in the NBA. The rest of these guys are just guys. The rest of these guys are just guys wearing green warm-ups.
Tell you, GP2.
Grant Williams has got an ankle now, an ankle sprain. So Golden State's way deeper than this team, way deeper.
Yeah, and you know what? Going back to what we were talking about earlier, I realized I said it wrong. I didn't mean that the Warriors aren't a deeper team in terms of they have a deeper bench to go to. What I was more getting at was that Steph is by far the best player in the series, but I've thought if you just match up 2 through 5 in their starting 5, like if you put like, Draymond versus Horford for the series, I'd probably give edge to Horford. If I gave Looney no, for the whole series. I mean, Draymond
playing, but going into it, I'll take Draymond over Horford.
No, I know, but for this series, I'd take Horford, and then for Rob Williams or Looney, I'd take Rob Williams, and Wiggins or Brown. Brown's been better outside of the past game and a half, and then Clay or Smart. I thought Smart's been out playing. He's been more impactful than Clay, so that was more of my thinking.
Yeah, but if you match up Brown and Wiggins, you can put Wiggins and Tatum. I mean, Wiggins has. I mean, man, he's played just great defense on everybody he's been on. And just, I mean, his rebounds, 16 rebounds in game 4 and 13 tonight.
No doubt.
And those rebounds he's getting, they're not just like bouncing them. He's skying for them.
Yeah, exactly. He's high pointing those rebounds. That's a great call.
That's a point of emphasis. And also, I'll say on Tatum, I think that a big thing for him, and it's a part of his maturity, is there's a little bit of James Harden going on where he was never what he got knocked on early in his year was kind of like you think you're Kobe type thing, where he was taking a lot of long twos, a lot of step back long twos, a lot of threes, not really getting to the cup. And that was one of the main emphasis they put on him, is like, dude, you are massive. You need to get to the line. If you're going to be a perennial player, you need to get to the line and get those easy points, 8, 10 free throws a game. And then he did that through the first 3 rounds. But now that it's the finals and they let us play a little more physical, and he can't just do his sort of thing and he'll get the calls. He's not getting any calls in Golden State.
He's imploding because he's spending so much time with the officials. Every call he's whining about this. And they are getting into his head. Did you see when he took the ball and Draymond was like trying to grab the ball and then he was like walking down? Draymond intentionally was getting into his head. And I think GP2 was with him as well. I think they really see Tatum is and Udoka at one point, Grant Williams was flipping out about the call when he was holding on to the guy. And Emu actually kind of said, hey, focus. He kind of calmed him down. Just stop it. Because
he himself though he should have told himself that earlier because he got a technical.
That tee though, I thought that was a weak tee because
whatever the magic word is, he must have said it because he said something and was quickly teed up.
Yeah,
we didn't even know how that call was going to be officiated there But I mean, at one point, with 5 minutes left or 3 minutes left, he's like, no more talking to officials. They might, the Celtics might have gotten a little too wrapped up in the calls tonight. I mean, Golden State definitely got some phantom calls. There was that one stretch when Poole, kind of flopped after pretending to get hit in the nose. There was like a 3 sequences all right there that all went for the Warriors. And I tweeted out, man, if you're a Celtic fan right now, you're pissed because they had 3 key calls in a very short amount of time, all kind of 50-50 or dubious calls, and they all went against them. And I expect those calls to all go for Boston Thursday night.
Still, they had 28 free throws fouls to 16 fouls is all the Celtics were called for. The Celtics were in the penalty situation like halfway through 2 of the quarters.
Which was bogus as well, because a lot of those calls on Golden State were terrible calls. And that's exactly what I thought, Danny, as I was watching it, is that, you know what? They're going to get, these calls are ticky-tack, because Boston was missing some of those free throws. So you're sitting there going, oh, well, at least Golden State's not, they're not making the free throws. But they were getting into the bonus so early, and that's what I feared. I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is going to be a parade to the line because they're in the bonus so early. And it kind of was. But then how many free throws did Boston wind up missing in this game? 5 or 6, right?
Missed more than that. I think they missed close.
Yeah, they missed 10. They missed 10. 21 of 31. It's a good call. That's a ton. For NBA basketball players to miss 10 free throws in a finals game. I mean, that's embarrassing. Nobody should point the finger to anybody if you're missing 10 free throws and you lost by 10.
Yeah, and even if they missed only 5, they still would have lost by double digits because they were down by 16 in the last couple minutes. That 10-point victory is kind of it really is not what it appears to be, because they made 2 shots at the end couple of easy layups, and the Warriors had just pretty much called it off. It was over. They were up by.
You're saying it should have been a larger margin.
Yeah, and given the free throws, they still would have lost. Even if the Celtics made 6 of those 10 that they missed, and only missed 4 for the night and went 27 of 31, they still would have lost by 10.
Yeah, but we can play that game with a lot of things, I feel
sure.
like.
Yeah, I just think the
Poole doesn't make the 3 at the end of the quarter.
You can do that, but I do think the Warriors were definitely more, confident. They felt in control even when they went down by 5 in the third quarter. I wasn't worried at that point because I knew the Warriors would come back and make a run because they made 8 in a row. I mean, they're not gonna. They made.
But they also missed 12 in a row to start the game.
Yeah.
And what did they make in game 1? Though I was fearful that they would get into that game 1 type thing where they just rain threes down. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to these things. Especially when you're dealing with guys like Marcus Smart and Derek White. Smart is a 33% 3-point shooter or whatever it is. He doesn't have a high percentage. Right. But guess what? The guy's an awesome competitor, and he will stick big threes. And Derek White is not the 3-point marksman that he appeared to be last round against Miami, but that's what he looked like at the beginning of this series. And now, as Draymond Green said at the end of game 1, he said they didn't feel our defensive pressure. Golden State has done a much better job since game 1 at making the Celtics perimeter shooters feel the pressure. How? A little bit better extension on the closeout by Looney. A little bit more hugged up on the shooter, like with guys like Payton. And they're feeling Golden State's defensive pressure. And now because of it, they're starting to shoot more in line with what they actually shoot and not some fantasy number where,
and that's
that they're just raining down shots after, with feeling in an all-time feel good.
Right, Larry, and that's what I was going to make the point of is that if you look at the series, we played 5 games now, you start to see more realistic numbers. Even Steph's 0 for 9 fits into his career numbers. I bet you he's probably down to about 43% for the series.
I think he's averaging 30 on 46 from the field, 41 from 3.
He's 41 now from 3 after tonight, and he's
41.
And he's a career, 43%, something like that. From 3.
And in the finals, he's a career 40 guy.
Yeah, so he was at 48, 49. So the law of averages catch up. I mean, Al Horford, game 1 was like, what was he, like 6 of 9? Or I can't even remember the numbers. It feels like a month ago.
Oh, at one point I had the fourth quarter. This is great. This is shocking. So at one point, because I got so triggered by all the everyone making fun of Steph for not scoring in the fourth quarter that I was went through the fourth quarter scoring of the past 6 finals, and I set it to per 36 so that we could get more realistic numbers, like they sound more like a full game. And if you did the Warriors finals, and I think this was through 3 games, Marcus Smart per 36 in the fourth quarter was 36 a game on 57 shooting from 3. Horford,
he's a big what shooting from 3?
57.
Yeah, I mean he's an awesome competitor who elevates in the moment.
And then Horford was 35 a game per 36 on 100 shooting splits. That's insane. Brown was 24. I mean, I guess that's closer, but still 57, 50, 75. White was 20.5 on 60.
Through 3 games?
This was through 3 games in the fourth quarter only.
Wow.
Hey, I know what I was going to ask you guys. By the way, Jaguayo 56, $2 donation said, Krueg, great show as usual, gentlemen. Go Dubs. Jaguayo 56, thanks for your continuing generosity. Did I interrupt your point, by the way, Rye? Were you still going there?
Oh, no. That's.
I wanted to read you guys an Anthony Slater quote because it kind of jogged a memory, our thought here that we haven't discussed this. What did you guys think when Tatum had the ball in his hands? They called the timeout. Draymond tried to grab it out of his hands, and he carried it back to the bench. And basically Green and GP2 walked right into the Celtic bench, and you got Draymond, GP2, Mike Brown was down there trying to.
Juan Toscano Anderson came off the bench, and I was kind of worried.
What did you make of that situation right there? What was going on there?
I think Dre was just trying to get in his head. I think Dre was just trying to get in Tatum's head.
You think so?
Oh yeah, because
like, give me the ball.
Oh, he was just like, I think he was probably saying, we got you, something. I don't know what he was saying, but Tatum was kind of like holding the ball away, like, you can't have it. It
was just super passive aggressive NBA at its finest on both sides.
Yeah. I was just like, I thought it was kind of.
They're really good friends. Actually, I was listening to the Tatum on Draymond Green show podcast. This was before the playoffs even started, and Draymond thinks a lot of Tatum. Like, he was telling Tatum, like, bro, like he was basically like, you're a P word if you don't win MVP next year. Like, you're that talented and you're that good. And like on Team USA, like, bro, you saw like KD was basically handing you the reins. Like, you're going to be the next guy. Like, that's why you were getting shots up. So, I mean, in that way, the guy's 24 years old. I mean, LeBron went to the finals when he was like 24 and was really trash. So, he's had a 50-point playoff game. He's had multiple 40s this year versus really good teams. So I think we cut the kid some slack, but man, he whatever, he is not in that last level. Not even close. He's not even close to 2015 Steph.
How does this series play out, guys? We've been going for 2 hours and 38 minutes. Still have hundreds of people here in the chat. Lots of people want to talk about this for sure.
And we haven't even got to the
Giants and their win over the Royals, which we will get to. We're only going to midnight, so we're only going for another 25 more minutes. Why don't we do this? I want your guys' thoughts on what we're going to see Thursday night. But before we do that, why don't we do this? We'll get some water. We'll take a 30-second break. We'll play a couple commercials, including the great Pasquale. We'll tell people how they can become a member of the channel, and then we'll get your thoughts on what we're going to see Thursday night in Game 6. But first, how you can be an exclusive member of the Krueg Show. Had a nice beat. You could dance to it. And now a word from our sponsors. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use Telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimiglio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Dan Coccimiglio and all the people at Secure Money for being proud sponsors of the Krueg Show. And also thanks to our newest sponsors. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com, often imitated, never equaled. And they are a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to them as well. And it would not be a Krueg Show without a word about Italian sausage and New York style Italian sausage from our good friend Pasquale.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage, also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
There we go. There we go. Thank you to New York Style Italian Sausage, and welcome back to the Krueg Show. Hope everybody's enjoying the show. We're about 2 hours and 44 minutes into it. If you're just tuning in, Golden State came away with a 10-point win tonight in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Thursday night will be Game 6. We've been breaking it down. Giants got a win over the Royals tonight as well. So the Giants, fresh off the sweep of the Dodgers, continued their winning ways by beating Kansas City. And I'm Larry Krueger. On my left is the great Ryan Smith. On the bottom of the screen, Dan Coccimiglio eating cereal. Danny, what kind of cereal are we working on today?
I got the cinnamon harvest.
Oh, look at that. Organic cinnamon harvest with a little bit of milk.
Look what I put on it, though.
What do you got there?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch Cinnadust. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
You just
so it's just the dust.
Sprinkle it on the snow. Yes.
Look at that.
Sprinkle it on the picked it up tonight at just before the game. Yeah.
Wow.
Where'd you get that? Diabetes in a box, huh? What do you?
At Fry's.
Where's Faith and Buster? And
Hey,
do we have
Buster?
Where's Faith?
There's Faith.
There's Faith. Hey,
wait,
Faith.
What happened to my camera here? What happened? There we go. There's Buster.
There's Faith. There's Buster's stretching.
Stretching, yeah.
Get that stretch. Get that
Get that
stretch
big
going,
stretch,
Buster.
Yeah.
Good looking dogs. Good looking dogs.
We got the game 6. You want to know what we're thinking?
Before we get to that, don't jump ahead just yet. Yeah, we're pacing ourselves.
I'll finish my cereal then.
Did you guys finish your cereal? Get another couple bites in you.
Did you guys get Kerr?
Right. What's that?
So
where's your dog, Rye?
I just gave him a big pet. Okay, so
where is he?
Wait.
Come on, Ringo.
Ringo.
Look
at Ringo. That's a great look. It's like, hey,
Ringo,
what?
Can you sing? I want to
Ringo's
hold
looking the other way, looking over his shoulder.
Bro, I'm so tired.
I want to hold your paw. I want to hold your paw.
Okay, wait.
Please.
Oh, no.
Okay, wait. So I was on Twitter as I was taking a pee break.
Okay.
So 2 things that are cool. One thing is that I guess Draymond, Steph, and Clay broke Ginobili, Duncan, and Parker's record for the most wins as a player, or most finals wins as a trio. That's like really significant.
Yes, it
cool.
is.
And then also apparently there's a soundbite that was played during the broadcast that I missed, where Steve Kerr said that it was going to end in Boston.
Really? When in the post game?
or it was like a wired for sound. Here, I can play the sound. It's pretty. It's a little bit choppy, and we're not going to get flagged for this.
All right. You sure?
This was what I was thinking when I was grabbing my cereal.
Okay.
Unbelievable job. I could literally go on every single one of you guys.
Oh, this is the post game.
Tell you how amazing you were. That was a total team effort, especially as they came and punched us in the mouth. We're going to get this in Boston.
Yes, sir.
We're going to finish this in Boston. Okay. Whatever Steph said yesterday, it still applies, right? Tomorrow we get our rest, we get our, get on the plane and go, get everything you need done, treatment-wise, hydration, eat well, take care of you take all that stuff. Lock in.
Oh,
How'd that get out?
Quote that. What did he say? Because I could barely hear that.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. So basically, he was saying, all right. He was like, it's incredible job, guys. Like I could go around the room and tell you how each one of you guys contributed to this win tonight, real team win. And this thing ends in Boston. And we were going to end this thing in Boston. That's where it ends.
Ooh, I like that.
The same thing applies. What Steph said for this game, same thing still applies. And which I don't know what that is. But then he was like, just everybody get their rest, get their recovery, whatever. Because this thing's
get on a plane tomorrow, get hydrated, eat well. Yeah, he said stuff like that.
Hey, you know what? That's the right mindset, because let's be honest, you need a singular mindset. You have to play game 6 as if it were game 7. Why? Because to vanquish a proud franchise, to vanquish a group of competitors, Boston's going to show up Thursday night, and there's going to be a level of desperation to their performance. Yep. The fans are going to be desperate. They're going to be desperate. That's an emotional advantage. Kerr understands it. He's been in it. He's seen it. And so you got to take the floor with the idea that we ain't coming back to San Francisco. We're finishing it in Boston. You need to convince your guys. You need to get them on that level to match the desperation and the intensity of the Celtics, because ultimately that's what it's going to take. You're not going to waltz in and be like, well, if we win it, we win it. But if we don't,
no, they're going with
game 7 and it's no sweat, because it's hard to turn that switch on and off. And if Boston wins game 6, they'll carry momentum into game 7, right, despite the fact it's here in San Francisco. So I agree wholeheartedly with Kerr. Drive your team. Absolutely. There's times when you got to put your arm around somebody. There's times when you got to kick them in the butt. This is the time where you just have to be adamant that we are finishing this deal in Boston, and get your guys ramped up to a fevered pitch. Get your guys fired up. Make them feel like it's do or die. Bring in that intensity. Get that edge. Match Boston's edge. I think that's the best recipe to get the win there.
Oh yeah, I was thinking as I was like, and you said, what's your thoughts for Thursday? As I was grabbing my cereal, I said, I think they're going to go in with a purpose, because they've done it before. They did it to the Cavs. They did it to Memphis in Game 6 in 2015, their first title. They went into Oklahoma City needing Game 6. They know they've won many series in 6 games. They've won a 5-game series. They've won a 6-game series. They've lost and they've won a 7-game series against OKC, and they lost that 7-game series. They've experienced it all. And so I think the mentality, what they are going to have, exactly what you said, what Kerr's saying, they're going in with a purpose. And, they're not going in with, like you said, Larry, well, let's just give it a shot and see.
We got 2 to win 1. Hey, we're bound. No, don't. You can't go. No. You need to. You have to match their intensity and their desperation, and that's going to be hard to do, because their back's against the wall, and there's an edge to that. But there's also I got to believe, and I think there's, especially after a game like tonight, I think Boston, sitting on that plane with a little bit of question. A little bit of a question. Did we run into, are we just a little bit ahead of our time? We know this is an all-time great team. We know that they've done it before. Is it our time? Well, maybe they thought it was their time, but maybe now there's some doubt. Maybe it's not quite our time. And so I don't know. I'm eager to see. I'm eager to see what the first quarter of Game 6 looks like. I really am excited for that.
Just remember, Steve Kerr is as a competitive person as you'll ever meet. You don't always. You think he's just this real easygoing, nice guy. That guy,
he's got a temper.
Is an animal. I mean, he got into a fight with Michael Jordan in practice. I mean, this guy is been there, and he hates to lose, and he knows what the narrative is. He knows what's been said and this and that, and he wants to put the dagger in them. And I'm just surprised that got out. I don't know how that leaked out. How did that because a lot of teams will use that for bulletin board, you know?
I don't like that it leaked out. Not one bit.
How did it get out though? That was an internal locker room, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was like wired for sound. Like I'm sure they get approved to use whatever. I mean, I'll tell you what kind of changed. You know how wired for sound sucks in the NBA? How it's always just like, play defense, and like that
wouldn't be. Would you be worried about that getting out? Of course, you're going to say that to your team.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if Boston, I mean, who cares if that got leaked out? I mean, he didn't say anything there. It wasn't like something. It wasn't like Mike Schilt or anything. You know, where he's like, "We're going to kick their effing ass." You know, it wasn't. It wasn't anything like that.
I think it actually helps. I think that Boston's now questioning themselves because you know what? Derek White and Marcus Smart in the press conference after Game 4, they basically said, "Look, you know, we let this one get away. You know, it sucks, but, you know, we always play better with our back against the wall. And I know it frustrates everyone, but, you know, we haven't lost. You know, we basically do not lose 2 games in a row. We never have. We always come back and play our best game. And today we just they were in that opportunity and they lost to the Warriors, like, you know, they lost to the Warriors others still by 15. So I think that they could be mentally. I think things could get dangerous in Game 7. But I think we have a real good shot at winning Game 6.
Cleaning up the chat here, guys, because we're only going to go to midnight tonight, so we're only got 9 more minutes left. But a couple of interesting things here. One, Real Deal Sports Talk stat the night: only 6 turnovers by the Dubs. That is the equalizer right there. Golden State can help Boston out by doubling or tripling that total. If the Warriors can keep taking good care of the basketball, I think that's number 1 on my list. If I'm Steve Kerr and I'm writing down things on a whiteboard, getting ready for Game 6 in the locker room at the Garden, hey, guys, we need to continue taking good care of the ball, because if that number becomes 12 turnovers, if that number becomes 18 turnovers, Boston doesn't have to do a whole lot. But that right there is something Golden State. Yeah, keep that thing. I would say under a dozen would be fine. You get 10, 12. Okay. You get more than that. That's a real problem. Kevin F says, Grant Napier tomorrow. What time? 10 a.m. tomorrow. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Awesome. We're going to have Grant Otto. He'll be breaking down Game 6 or Game 5 of the finals and looking ahead to Game 6. So always good to get his perspective on it.
Maybe a little draft.
Let's see. What else do we have in the
Somebody
chat?
said in the chat, said earlier, we need Fitz on. I had this thought to with Fitz, it'd be kind of funny to be like, what about Bob, you know, in the movie, What About Bob, when he was calling Dr. Leo Marvin. You remember that movie, What About Bob?
Yeah.
Bill Murray?
Bill Murray, yeah. Is I'll show up at 2 a.m. at Fitz's house and say, hey, Fitz, Wiggins goes in, monster slam! Wake him up.
It's a good imitation of yourself. Well, since Danny actually threw that, I mean, he's just had a bowl of cereal. He's been muted a few times. He's feeling a little frisky. Let's play the Monster Slam one time so people know that Dan's not just a crazy man, that he's actually quoting himself from a few weeks ago.
Again, he kicks it out to Wiggins. Wiggins drives, goes in for a Monster Slam! Oh, they're calling it an offensive foul. No way. Hey,
no way. I love that. I almost love the no way more than the Monster Slam.
Yeah. Chardal,
SG Sports Talk is Chardal, SG Sports Talk channel. He's become a YouTube member. So Chardal, thank you for becoming a member. Absolutely. And all you got to do is click the join button, and you can become a member of the Krueg Show. And I actually taped a members only video today with an NBA draft sleeper, one of my favorite NBA draft sleepers. And if I'll release it to everybody else before the draft, but if you are an exclusive member of the Krueg Show, as Chardal is right now, you get that exclusive content only for members. And it's only $4.99 a month. So do check that out. And if you want to be a member, just click join. And it's as simple as that. Awesome. J Boogie 510 Fitz did radio for Tim Roy tonight. He's probably exhausted. I didn't realize that.
I'd like to go back and listen. TV I love listening to Fitz do play-by-play.
Oh, Fitz is the man. Are you kidding me? Love Fitz.
Man, I wish I could
Jay says, Serena, you mad because I got you pegged? Larry Legend was great. Now that's a little back and forth going in the chat between two of our chatters going back and forth. Well, guys, if the Warriors do win in 6, I've pretty much pegged this whole series. I said the Warriors would lose game 1, win game 2. I said they would lose game 3 and win game 4. It went the other way. Or no, that it would win game 3 and lose game 4. It went the other way. But I did say they'd win tonight, and I thought they would win game 6 in the Garden. So far I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch. We only got 6 minutes left.
If you get that right, we might have to raise the membership fee. Raise the membership fee.
Danny, you went to the track. You went to the Belmont. You went to Golden Gate Saturday. How was the racetrack?
Actually, I ended up not going because.
Oh, really?
I had my trip. I was coming up. Had to cancel it. The dog kennel place was having a run of kennel cough, and they called me the day before, and I was like, I'm not gonna. I had no place to put my dogs. I'm like,
what's kennel cough?
It's really get like a cold. They cough. They get sick. They can runny nose. They got to go on antibiotics and stuff like that. And there's no guarantee they would have caught it.
Have you ever had kennel cough?
Me? No, Buster has. No. Buster got sick once.
I might use that someday. When I'm looking for an excuse. Oh, I got kennel cough. Terrible kennel cough.
Last name.
Yeah, just real bad kennel cough.
Yeah, Buster got it really bad once, and I was kind of worried. He was only like 9-10 months old. Even though he had the vaccine and everything, he still caught it, and he got pretty sick. So I was like, I'm not going to.
Dusty Gold said maybe ate kettle corn. No, kennel cough, not kettle cough. I'll have a little bit of that kettle corn, the kennel corn.
But Steve called the winner. I asked him about the horse race, who he had, and he had the winner. Yeah.
Oh wow. Hey, give us a quick thought on the Giants. I don't know how much of the baseball game you guys watched tonight.
Yeah, I was able to catch enough of it to comment on it.
Royals took an early lead. They were up 2-0 in the third. The hotshot rookie Witt Jr. had an infield single to drive in a run. They were up 2-0. Giants came back. Bases loaded walk to Darren Ruff forced in the first run, and then a bases loaded walk to Jock Peterson tied the game.
He walked 2 out. There was 2 out in the inning, and Austin Wynns got a double down the right field line. Actually went off the first base bag. He's got some decent speed for a catcher.
Yeah, he does.
Got into second base, and then Bobby Witt,
Junior
Singer, Brady Singer, pitcher, had only walked 4 guys all season, and walked 5 tonight. He walked the next 4 guys, and two runs scored on walks. So it was pretty weird. And then it was 2-2, and Yaz got a double. That was the weirdest double you might ever see. It hit the bottom of the right field wall, but it hit the foul pole. But it's a rubber piece,
right?
That hangs down, and it didn't hit the rubber piece square on. It hit the seams, the seams that hold it on. It's like stitched on the sides,
right?
And it hit the yellow seams, and it was a question of, is that part of the field or not? And Krueg is like, well, if it's yellow, I imagine it is. And so he got the double, and then Estrada singled him home, and that was the winning run.
It's funny. Real Deal says Austin Wynns is already worlds better than Joey Bart. Central Valley King donates $1.99. Says, great work, fellas. I was wrong rooting for the C's. Oh, thanks. So good to see you're coming around there.
Rooting
Central
for
Valley
the
King.
sea. Wow, he's already
Central
rooting for
Valley
the
King.
sea. Wow, he's already
He's already apologizing. Look at this one. John Vincent. Celtics will be hoisting, I think he means, the Larry O'Brien trophy on early Monday morning. Yeah.
Who's
thank
that?
you.
John Vincent?
That's John Vincent, who's obviously a drunken stupor.
I mean,
Are you related to Faye Vincent, the ex baseball commissioner, John?
Yeah, exactly. No, this Vincent would let Rose
Who names their son
keep Rose in the
Faye
game.
anyway? Who names their son Faye?
You know what? I'm not going there. I can't. I'm not gonna. My name Larry is being used as like a punchline for every joke, every commercial. There's always like Larry. That always make the guy whose name's Larry is always a jackass. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. How about
Larry?
And how about if your name's Karen today? Oh, hey, Karen.
Seriously, it's funny. We used to play some of the Curb Your Enthusiasm sound bites when Susie would be like, Larry, effing blah, blah, blah. She's just awesome. One of my favorite characters of all time. That's Jeff's wife, Susie, and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Just an awesome character.
I called you Lair like a lot of times, even when I first just met you. And now I'm realizing that it's 100% just because I've never even had a friend named Larry. It's just because
you almost didn't become my friend because my name was Larry, right? Yeah. I mean, you said that before.
Larry.
My late mother called me Lawrence. Does that help? I mean, would it be better if I was Lawrence? Do you think I'd get less? You never see people named Lawrence criticized in commercials.
Yeah.
It's always Larry did it.
Yeah. You'd be like George Foreman and name all your kids George.
Georgette, George, the first, second, third, fourth.
Larry, if you reach a certain level, like a pinnacle of status, like let's say, this show ends up making hundreds of millions of dollars, I'm thinking maybe switch the name to Lawrence.
Yes.
Yeah, the Warriors are going to win instead of the Lawrence O'Brien trophy Thursday night, they're going to win the Lawrence Krueger trophy.
Exactly. By the way, my kid, my college kid, put up one of our live streams on Instagram as a reel, and the thing blew up today. I wanted to check this out real quick, but it blew up. I mean, like the reel absolutely totally blew up. It's gotten, let's see, double check the views on it. It's gotten 3,381 views, me talking about the last playoff game. So check me out on Instagram, the gram, as my son likes to say, at Sports Larry K, and of course on Twitter. But this is a great one. Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
What was that?
Guys named Lawrence wear Casio watches. Thank you.
I'm going to go out and get a new watch for Thursday night's wrap.
Larry's got a Breitling on, but Lawrence is wearing a Casio. Yeah. Danny's going to choke on his milk. Danny's got like 9 Casios somewhere in that house. All right. It's midnight, guys, and we've gone for over 3 hours. So I think we should call it quits. But we do want to thank everybody in the chat. Guys, give me your final thought. We didn't talk a lot of Giants tonight, but it was the NBA Finals, and I hope the Giants and their fans understand that. It's not that don't care about the Giants. I watched the Giant game. I had it on the whole night. But you know what? When it's the NBA Finals, like 2 days from now or 2 games from now, we're going to talk Giants like all day, all night. So it doesn't bother me that we're talking a disproportionate amount of Warriors. And I hope it doesn't bother any of you. Obviously, we've had hundreds of people in the chat here. So I would imagine that we're talking about the topic that you want us to talk about. But I don't want to give any short shrift to the Giants because, Giants are a contending team, and we love baseball as well. But give me a thought on what we're going to see Thursday night, and or a thought on tonight, or just something you want to share with us that you haven't already shared. Final thoughts. We're at that point here. Whoever wants to go first.
I think if they keep it close, Warriors win this. If not, Warriors win in 7. And I will say, just to clarify, although I feel like I have been a little more pro Celtics than everybody else on here, from the jump, I did bet, or I'm not bet. I did say that I thought it was going to be Warriors Celtics. I never gave a pick, but from the beginning of the playoffs, I said Warriors Celtics, and then before the series, I said Celtics are a better team. Warriors still win in 7 because of experience. So, what that's worth.
Yeah, and I think what you mean by better team is you see more athleticism, you see more quickness, you see more length, you see more rebounding built in some of the guys. But I think as we break it down more and more, I think the Warriors have more depth and more metal, championship metal. And I think the depth of the Warriors is what really is the key. I will say this. If GP2 was not available for this series, I don't know if they're ahead 3-2 right now.
Yeah, that's fact.
That's great. That is a great call. That is a great call. I'll say this, to me, this is kind of like, you're driving around, you're trying to find your way, and the Warriors have GPS and the Celtics have a faster car, Celtics have a faster car with a better engine and less miles on it. Warriors have an older car with more miles, but the Warriors have GPS and the Celtics don't. Celtics are just kind of, I think we go left here. I think maybe we should take a right there. Where the Warriors are like, we know exactly how to get where we're going, and we know exactly how much energy to expend along the way. And none of these distractions are going to bother us. Why? Because the core of our team and all of our coaches have been there and done it. And there's an awful lot of guys in that. There's an awful lot of championship experience on the Warriors side. And I think that it showed.
Good analogy on that GPS. Even take it a step further, the GPS. We see a detour, a traffic jam over here. We're going to go this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to use the GP2.
That was going to be mute. Nobody wants to be muted in the final minute of the show. That's just not right. All right. But thanks to everybody in the chat. Seriously. I mean, I'm really impressed. And we've been doing this show for a couple months now, but it's the NBA finals, but I mean, 300 plus people in the chat today, all kinds of Lawrence has the best metaphors.
Lawrence. Larry did it. Larry. It's always that. Larry guy's always got to be an asshole. Have you noticed that? He can't ever be like a smart guy that everybody looks up to. I think Larry might have the answer. No, it's always like Larry. Yeah.
Spilled mustard on his shirt.
Give it to Mikey. He eats everything. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Larry, he'll do it for you.
I love that show with Dan and Ryan and that asshole Larry. By the way, Dusty Gold says, Lair. Thanks. Thank you, Dusty. All right. Let's one more Coccimiglio and then let's bolt for the door.
He's going to drive to the hoop again. He's going to drive to the hoop again. He kicks it out to Wiggins. Wiggins drives, goes in for a monster slam. Oh, no, they're calling it an offensive.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back.